This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
And now the drugs are slowly wearing off, and your smile looks more like a frown. I give you freedom, you are alone. Memento mori, infinito.
Good morning, a beautiful Friday to you. I am Jim Fannin, covering for the great TMC show today. Honored to take the big chair. Just keep going on vacation, McConnell. Love it. So you're stuck with me till 9 o'clock. I am your substitute teacher. Behave. Rick Dykstra is in the booth. We're going to talk to him after the next break. I've got him for as long as he wants. For as long as I want, he tells me. So we'll talk politics, local. He is your MP here in St. Catharines for the Conservatives. Done a damn good job, too. I'm far from conservative, but I will say, is it okay, you know? Siscoe's guys come to the door the other day, and they say to me, and I say to Sal, I think it was, Sal's a former Liberal, isn't he? And I say, Sal, is it okay for, I'm not going to vote Conservative, but is it okay for me to say, you know what, 37 years is too long. Even if it's a Conservative, I just want some new blood. You know? Maybe the best guy for your riding associate, your riding, is not the party that you support. Weird. So we'll talk to Rick Dykstra about local politics, some initiatives coming up through his government. We've got the Green Party, Clark Bitter from Niagara Falls. Oh, man. He did a campaign launch last night at Taps in Niagara Falls. I don't know, 7 or 8 local musicians and acts. Cack himself. Never met him, but wow. Forget NMA. This kid can rap. He's a local guy and a local legend, I guess. But the Green Party kicked off their campaign. We'll talk to Clark Bitter a little bit about that. Incidentally, St. Catharines does not have a Green Party candidate. And I really don't want to do it. We've really gone after a couple, and Rick's laughing. You know, it's not that I don't want, I like my job here on the microphone, you know, and as soon as I announce, I got to go off the air. So I really don't want to do, I'd rather support someone from behind the scenes if that's what it takes. Coach someone up. We've gone after some really good qualified candidates that would have been good quality candidates. And I, myself, and, you know, the leader and other people that are, you know, having these interviews have not been able to convince someone to run green in St. Catharines. I don't want a paper candidate. I don't want a parachute from another riding. And I'm really struggling. I don't want to do it. So we'll talk to the Green Party at 10 o'clock. And Greg Vezina, you guys know if you've heard the show before when I cover for Tommy or my Sunday show at noon here, Greg Vezina is a guy I've got a lot of time for. Genius, creatively. He's, you know, one of those genius guys that constantly gets himself in trouble because he's so bright. Well, Greg Vezina has asked Elections Ontario to reserve the name Not of the Above Party. Seriously. It's the NOT, the Nada Party. So at the bottom of your ballot or wherever it fits in, if they do it alphabetically, you will be able to vote for a party that says we vote for none. We actually vote for a candidate and a party that is none of these other guys. It's not a vote for none of the above, which is why Elections Ontario said they weren't going to reserve the name. It's confusing on the ballot. Vez says to them, I will sue you. Give me my name, and they gave him the name. This, I don't know how this is not newsworthy. The not of the above, none of the above party. None of the above, yeah. My lips are a little worn out from last night, maybe. So then we got Vox Populi at 11:30. You've got 2 minutes to do whatever and say whatever you want. Incidentally, I don't mind the meetings with management. I'm not saying come on here and be an a-hole. But I don't mind going upstairs. Tommy says he doesn't like the meetings. I respect that. I like the meetings. Whatever I can do to get myself in front of management, I'll take it. So don't threaten the license. I like collar-on-collar action. I think I started that on Vox Populi. There's nothing better than saying, Sonny, you suck. Love caller on caller. I'm not encouraging it. I'm just encouraging it. So Vox Populi goes off at 11:30. You will have your 2 minutes to say whatever you want on any topic you want. We've got tons of things to hit today, too. So we'll go open phones at 11:30. You'll have your 2 minutes. You know how to interact with the show. The best way is to text 610-10. That's the easiest way to get in. I'll take a quick call. Roll the dice. Chris, you're on the air.
Thanks for the vine, Fannin.
Oh, Chris, good to hear you, man.
I think you'd be a great candidate for the Green Party. I would miss your Sunday show, but I mean, hey, what can you do? Stick with what you're good at, and apparently right now you are A-okay with radio. But as for the none of the above party, you know what? I thought about doing something like that back when I was in college, getting nominated under the name Vox Check This, so it shows up on the ballot as Check This Box, and then just relying on voter apathy.
What did you say? Box Check This? Check This Box?
Yeah, Vox Check This. It shows up on the ballot as Check This Box. And then
I got it. Okay, first name,
apathy.
last name. I got it.
There you go.
You know, we often talked about the Bloc Ontario Party. You know, we don't nationally. If we ran a party nationally that was only interested and only had Ontario's interest at heart, you could elect a majority government from one province, couldn't you?
Oh, I mean, you know what? The best part is, you know, if you wanted to run candidates for a Bloc Ontario party, I mean, you could run candidates in Alberta and BC because they have massive Ontario populations, too.
Well, good point.
It could be a legitimate national party. I think we should get on there.
Hey, Chris, isn't this a symptom of our broken election system? You know, this first past the post, and I'm sure we'll get into this with Rick, and I know his thoughts on it already, but isn't this what we turn to when the system just fails us?
You know what, though? I mean, aside from, you know, direct democracy, I think this is a much better system than the one they have down in the States, where it's just a mess and it needs to be fixed. I mean, as bad as it is, you know what? I'll take this over some of the options. Anyways, Fannin, I'm out.
I appreciate your call, Chris. Always a good caller. 905-688-2582 are your digits. 1-877-610-CKTB. Pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network. Next up, we got Rick Dykstra. I'm going to spend a half an hour with Rick at least here. I don't know what we're talking about. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. Green Party kept me out late last night. I got no notes, no computer, no safety net. This is Jim Fannin in for TMC on 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 610-10.
Fannin, they are the propeller heads. Jack Priptis running the board. Straight up stud. Speaking of studs, Rick Dykstra is in the booth. He doesn't suck. He is conservative. Proud of you, though, brother. You've come a long way. I've said this many times. I am the furthest thing from conservative. You know that. But
see, the more you say, the closer you get.
You've had some good people around you. You certainly stood up for the community. And when I ran against Walt Lestuka, I suffered from that same apathy that I've got now with Bradley. Anything is better than what we've got now. No offense to Walt. I mean, he was there a long time. But when you're there that long, tell me about what the voter starts to think. If I'm certainly not going to vote for Siscoe, but I think he's got a real shot in this riding. And I think even though he's a little bit of a robot from the standpoint that he is singing from the blue book, I mean, you were too. I mean, the first election, you've come a long way since, your political skills and stuff like that. And he's a little bit of a neophyte, not from the political standpoint, but coming into a new realm, which is provincial. He's a little bit of a robot. He's sucking up everything that Tim Hudak says, which I get. I wish he distanced himself on a couple issues just to make himself look like he will stand up to a leader. Because Tim Hudak's not getting elected. We know that. These guys need to win a majority government to be elected, because if the Conservatives happen to squeak out a minority, do you think the NDP and the Liberals are going to let them govern?
Well, I look in 2006 when you and I ran against each other. The difficulty was that we'd won such a small minority government, and everyone asked the same question: why would the NDP, why would the Bloc, why would the Liberals allow the Conservatives to govern? And things happen after an election. People have when an election happens, people vote, people have a say, and members of Parliament, whether they be at provincial or federal, they listen to that, and they're gonna have to be extremely cautious if what you say happens and there were to be a Conservative minority government. I think you're going to have to take into account the potential for at least the attempt to lead by Tim would be given to him, and the ability to try to work through issues in the in the provincial legislature would have to be deemed at least for the period of time that he would be given the chance to do that. So, you never know. And the other part of this is we're still fairly early in the election process. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people paying attention or have tuned into the provincial election as of yet. Very
softly. It came in like a lamb if you equate it to weather. But I do not think that Tim will win a minority. I think that he's picking the wrong issues. He's coming out with the wrong, come on, 1 million jobs, and then he's going to cut 100. It was, Rick, let's be honest. The last provincial election, months before the election, I was calling Tom McConnell's show and calling Tim Premier-elect. The former Green Party guy says Tim Hudak is Premier-elect, and he, not anyone else, whoever's running that campaign, his wife, I don't know, he hasn't got good people around him, because they're not people that know how to get elected, and he's doing the same thing this time around. I think wins, while doing it to a lesser degree. She's going to be punished for the current scandals ahead of us, in front of her and behind her. Andrea Horwath looks like the only one with a decent amount of credibility that's coming out with some good planks, picking good issues, picking good candidates and good ridings, and putting resources in a place like Niagara Falls, which I think Bart will take back again. I could be wrong. It's going to be tight there, but the Liberal guy is a sacrificial lamb, coming out late out of the gate, just like Bradley did. You see Siscoe signs everywhere. It's, so there's so many factors, but
there is. And I think the one thing that really needs to, you saw this in 2006 and 2008 with minority governments. And the fact is, when an election is extremely close, the local candidate makes a huge difference. There's no two ways about it. Your local campaign, the local candidate, the team, they can actually impact. Well,
sometimes even a guy like the Green Party can make a huge difference.
No kidding.
Traditionally we take votes from the left, the NDP and whatnot. And, I know I use this as my vote total went up by the differential that you won by. So, I can stand there and say, well, I took all those votes from Walt and the NDP and got you elected. I didn't get you elected. I know that, but
there's a lot of people who have taken claim of those 246 votes in 2006. I think we need to.
I was the first,
but I do think that when you look at all of the campaigns, when whether you look at all three of the leaders, you commented on all of them. I think actually Andrea's, for whatever reason, has had the slowest start in terms of media attention. The NDP does not seem to have caught traction at that level, and that's. I look here in St. Catharines. It took them a while to get a candidate named, and it's going to take some time to get signs drafted.
Do you think Andrea Horwath is going to put any resources in St. Catharines? No, it won't happen. We saw what happened to Ted Meridian. They forgot him at the bus station. They didn't give him a dime.
But this is a different election. I think what you saw happen last time, extremely
they know they
close.
don't have a shot in St. Catharines, though.
Well, this
is a Siscoe-Bradley race, for sure.
It is definitely going to be a close race, but Jim had to work really hard to squeak out a win in the last election.
That's true. He's been vulnerable before,
votes.
too.
So
1,700 isn't,
This is going to be a real horse race. I mean, this is, I think, in Niagara, the race to watch. It's definitely going to be extremely interesting. I also think that you're right in Niagara Falls. It's going to be tight. Whenever an incumbent is elected, and it always gives them a little bit of an advantage. So a lot of folks in Niagara Falls know exactly who Bart Maves is. He represented the riding for 2 terms, and I do think you've got an interesting dynamic where in Niagara Falls the race looks like it's between the Conservatives and the NDP, and in St. Catharines between the Conservatives and the Liberals. So it shows you how close the numbers are and the volatility around who's going to be able to make a difference, and a leader being able to move up a point or two in popular vote is going to mean a number of changes in terms of seats. So it is going to be interesting. I think when you mentioned about direction by both Wynne and Hudak, if one thing I can see very clearly, the lines are drawn. You know what the Conservative Party of Ontario stands for, and you know what the Liberal Party of Ontario is going to be standing for. They're making that very clear in terms of what they're saying.
Right. What do you think Siscoe's got to do to beat Bradley in this riding? It's my suggestion that I'm like, and I haven't spoken to Matt, and I will speak to Matt because he's accessible, and I think we got a mutual respect at least a little bit for each other. I'd like to see him pick one topic that locally doesn't work for St. Catharines and say, you know what? This is something I'm willing to stand up on my leader on this, because right now I see him a little bit as a robot. We want free thinkers. We want guys that'll stand up and say, you know what? And I haven't seen you do this, but you know what? I'm just not like Stephen Harper. When I interviewed him in 2006, said, unlike my party, I have views that are different. I think we should have a referendum on proportional representation. I'd like to see a little bit of more direct democracy or reform, electoral reform, and that was when he was running for leadership. So that's very different when you're running a majority government. What do you think Siscoe's got to do? And do you think it would be a good idea if he just had a little subject that, you know what, this doesn't work for St. Catharines. I know Tim's plan, but I support the rest of it. But in St. Catharines, if I had a free vote on it, I would vote against this. Well, distance himself, because getting on his jock doesn't seem to be working. This guy could screw up a one-car funeral, it seems. Well, I don't think. Look, I actually think Tim's done a reasonably decent job of leading from an opposition perspective and holding the Wynne government to account. Look, you don't have to. We don't. Well, that's really difficult. Well, but then I mean, what's the Wynne government done right? Right. So why should they even be in this race? I think that's the bigger question. Because Toronto keeps electing them. And, well, then there's an issue, right? Like, I don't think just by simply standing up. Look, I learned through this process, too, getting elected is the hardest thing in the world to do. Once you've achieved that, then you can start to put your mark on how you're going to represent the riding, what's important to the riding, understanding what's important to the riding, and how you can drive that message and how you can drive the things that you need to be able to accomplish, whether it be at the provincial or federal level, through government and through ministries. And the hardest part, I think, right now, and I think Matt's doing all the right things. He's out early. He certainly was. He was the only signs up for 10 days. You didn't see a Bradley sign. And, Jim's been doing this job for a long, long time, and he understands no lack of respect for Jim. Process. I mean, a great politician, but, I mean, at some point, great leaders need to know when to say, okay, I'm passing the torch. And we've got guys that have been just salivating, and we could name them. The guys around town that would be candidates, whether it be, I don't know, Mayor McMullen or Andy Gill or Walter Sendzik. I don't know. There's guys to pass the torch to that are potential interested, who seem like the left-leaning, like the liberal type of guys that would pick this up. Is it on Bradley to just not know when to quit? Well, I think he loves the job. I think he enjoys what he does, and that becomes part of it. I think Matt needs to instill in people in St. Catharines that he is got a focus. He's got the energy. He is going to bring some different new ideas to the table. You can't help it. He's a young man with a young family. He's a high school teacher in the Catholic school system. So certainly education is going to be a critical piece for him. And I do think that I don't know. I just think this is as good a race as we're ever going to see at the provincial level in St. Catharines. And I'm certainly going to pay close attention because at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a very, very tight race. Close attention. You're campaigning for the guy. And all the conservatives around here. That's a loyalty I respect.
I work just fine with Jim, but I certainly want to see Matt do extremely well.
Rick Dykstra is my guest. We'll talk to him more after this break. A couple text messages here. There are people who actually know about politics. Then there are people like me who know I want to vote Conservative, even though Tim Hudak annoys the life out of me. But Wynne makes me sick to my stomach, and Andrea is the most predictable politician I have ever seen. It's always the lesser of two evils. Well, not if you vote Green, Jim Fannin, the host adds. You know what? It actually feels good to put your mark behind someone that's got a decent platform, even if they don't have a shot to win. 905-688-2582. We will take your calls if you got something for Rick. He's not opposed to that. I'm Jim Fannin, covering for TMC on 610 CKTV.
22 years old. There must be someone up above. Say, come on, Brittany.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Back, I'm Jim Fannin. Priptis running the board. Campio being at 10. Rick Dykstra's in the booth right now. We're talking everything politics. What? Is there anything else? Life is politics. Politics is life. I mean, it's your career now, even though I think you missed your calling in broadcasting. You got any plans to go back to the private sector? Are you just going to be a politician until?
No, I will go back. I love this job. I mean, you going
to go back next term?
You say, I'm right in the middle of my nomination process, actually. So,
really?
Yeah. So no, I do intend to run again.
Somebody going to challenge you?
I don't know.
How many people in your riding association?
We have about close to 600 members.
So if I brought in 300 new members, I could take over your party association. I could bounce you.
You could never
with 300.
You could never take me out.
With 300 new memberships, I could.
Well, as soon as you
maybe not.
As soon as you sold about 3, I'd probably hear about it.
Are you happy with the way the election system's working, Rick? I mean, you're a political major, right?
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school? University
Brock in York. Yeah, I did
you
my
took
undergrad
political
at
science.
Brock, yeah.
And I remember the first election I ran. Well, not the first election, but the first one that I actually was out there in St. Catharines. Niagara Center was my first election. We didn't know each other then. I remember the first debate at the Parkway. You coming up to me and going, "Hey, I'm Rick." I didn't even know who you were at the time, and I wrote a paper on this in
That's right.
in university. Yeah, and I know it's not part of your platform, but as I encourage candidates and leaders and the like to take a stand against their own policy type of thing, do you think this election, I think.
I love how you, like, the framework around how you build an argument is that first you need to go against authority, or you need to go against it.
I'm not on your couch. You're on my show. Don't pull the shrink mechanism on me.
This is Tom's show, by the way.
Yeah, okay, right. Well, today Tommy's not here.
Yeah.
So with 37% of the popular vote, to have a majority government when 63% of the electorate vote for another party, they actually get off their asses, go vote, they cast ballots, they vote for other parties. Do you think this is working, or are you happy to stick with the status quo, which is
the fundamental problem is one step further back from what you're saying, and that is that I just actually read a paper released by some of the researchers up at Brock about the outcome of how many people come out to vote on elections. And since 1999, we've had a huge, over 11% decrease in voter turnout. So the apathy that you speak about is, in fact, a problem. But I don't think that you actually fix apathy by changing the system we have. We need to engage people in a much stronger way. We have, the percentage that show up at the last provincial election was less than 50% of the electorate. When we get to that point, we're actually in where U.S. numbers have been. So I do believe that the first point of all of this is to engage people in a much stronger way, to try to get them engaged in the political process, to turn out to vote, certainly at the provincial level. At the federal level, the same thing. I mean, in 2006, the voter turnout was huge. Part of that was because it was interesting. People found it fascinating. We were going through a significant change. We were going to see a change in government. I mean, your vote turnout in that election, the votes that you received was much, much higher than you'd ever received before. Mm-hmm. So, and I think it paid tribute to the fact that we actually got people inspired. We got people thinking about what it was to be engaged in the political process in the federal campaign in 2006. We need more of that. That's the kind of discussion we need to have. And you bring some of that forward in terms of the discussion. I mean, we certainly disagree on a regular basis about issues, but the whole responsibility or job of us who are engaged in the political process is to reach out to others to try to get them engaged in that process as well, which is probably why I spend as much time as I do trying to get information to people. However you get information to people, whether it's social media, whether it's direct mail, whether it's through shows like this, trying to get people to understand the importance of participating in the political process.
And I would add to that we certainly could do a better job of bringing a better quality candidate at all levels, municipal, regional, federally, and provincially. Better quality candidates engage the public more. And as leaders of the parties, I think, isn't it the parties that decide ultimately what the issues are going to be? And if FUDAC comes up and says, okay, well, I got 1 million job plans, and it doesn't gain traction, that's not the public's fault. That's the leader's fault.
No, that's true. But the media also is going to report what leaders say. And
correct.
You guys were having this discussion. You and Tim were having this discussion. And you said, well, it's a little bit of both, right? Either is it the politics that changes it, or is it the people that change it? Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at this process, it's why you need to pay close attention to what leaders are doing, but you need to spend a little bit more time researching what they're saying and what their policy platforms are, because there's a lot behind the 1 million jobs plan. It isn't just going out and saying every day we're going to create 1 million jobs. It's talking about how that's going to happen. And it is going to include a reduction in civil service. Civil service makes up over 50% of the provincial budget. The provincial deficit right now is $13 billion. Mm-hmm. $10 billion of additional revenue could be used, if we were able to find a way to reduce that, to spend on other things like preventative health care, like in the environment, like whether it be investments in the economy. So it is important to have these discussions. And the funny part of this, you mentioned about whether it's going against the grain or what the system is all about. Whenever you say anything that changes the system, that is going to significantly alter, for example, the financial part of how a province or a federal government is run, it's going to elicit reaction. It can be positive and it can be negative. The fact that it's eliciting reaction means at least people are paying attention.
Rick Dykstra is my guest. Hey, we'll take your calls if you feel like you have a question you want to shoot at Rick Dykstra. 905-688-2582. You can text 61010, pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network, 1-877-610-CKTB on the text. Too much political speak is the problem. Engage people by telling the truth. Rick, tell me about your feelings on, I heard last night when I got home from the event, I checked out Tim's interview with Mike Schreiner. And Mike, he's got a nice way about him. He's not your typical politician. He says, listen, there's going to be some painful choices we're going to have to make. If we want mass transit and we're going to want a healthy one, we're going to have to look at parking tolls. We're going to have to look at gas taxes that are dedicated to go over to the transit. He can't. If he said it one time, he must have said it 10 times. I'm going to be honest with the people. This is how it works out. Here's how it shakes down. And I think too much of the time, all governments are guilty of campaigning on one thing, gaining power, and doing whatever you want. Do you think there's a lack of honesty and transparency? I mean, certainly there has been with Harper's government, accessibility to the media, all kinds of stuff. He's kind of put a cloak around him. But
well, you're one of the biggest promoters of social media, and no government.
I use it.
No government has ever.
I think we're a bunch of addicts on social media, but
social media, like
you're right though.
From my
he has
perspective,
announced things on Twitter.
Changes in cabinet, what's going to be happening in terms of what his schedule is going to be, what he thinks about particular issues. Like, from my perspective, the strength of what you do as an individual, as an elected representative, is how you reach people individually. If you cannot reach people individually to make sure that they understand or at least have an interest or at least think towards what issues of the day are burning at the federal level, then I'm not doing my job. I mean, the best compliment I get is a complaint when someone says to me, "Why are you sending me so much information to my door?" Why are you telling me so much? Why am I receiving this information?
Said no one.
A lot of folks complain about that.
Really?
Yeah.
They see it as taxpayer-paid propaganda, maybe.
Well, if read my material and determine whether or not it's propaganda, because what I try to do is make sure that people know what I'm doing, people understand what I'm doing, and people can actually question.
You ever put something in your flyer that says, you know what, I screwed up last term, I shouldn't have voted for this? Because you've never made a mistake, right?
I've made mistakes.
So, I mean, it's propaganda. Let's be honest. The Green Party's got propaganda, it always does.
Okay, but the point is that you want to engage people. Like, on the one hand, you want to engage. On the other hand, you're calling it all propaganda. Like, if you want people to not be cynical about politics, you need to speak about it in a positive way. You need to engage. You need to find a way to make people understand why it's important to pay attention. And getting them information, having them understand why it's important to read it or to look at it or view it or read a tweet. I'm in a much, much stronger position to have people comment and have a good discussion about an issue if they know that I'm trying to reach out to them. If all I'm doing is using the media to drive my message or to be a vehicle, how can I be dependent on the media to sell who I am? I've got to do that myself.
And I really give you props for that phone conference call that you did. I actually got a call. I got on that thing. I waited too long to get my message on it. I didn't get the message on it. But I thought that was such a brilliant idea of engaging people. Like, here, how many people did you actually get onto that call?
Actually, the first time we did it, we had over 7,000 people stay on for a little over 15 minutes.
That's a brilliant idea.
So that's an engaged. That's again like you overstep. You know what?
You think they're all supporters, or you think it was a mix?
I don't. I think it's
all
a
your
mix.
calls were supporters.
Well, actually, if you're on the last
fastball across the middle. Here we go. Pop out of the park. Rick Dykstra hits it out again.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you they weren't all. If you'd have stayed on a little longer, you'd have found out they weren't.
I stayed to the end, brother.
Positive questions. That's fine. It's
Native issues was a huge topic.
It was at the time. Yeah, yeah, and it still is, obviously.
On a text, I turn the dial when I hear any of Win, Hudak, etc. I constantly vote, but use the election's policy of spoiling my ballot. Well, don't turn the dial. Coming up at 11 o'clock, we're going to talk about the founder of the None of the Above Party. This is genius. Greg Vezina will be up at 11 o'clock. But one more segment with your elected MP for the Conservatives here in St. Catharines, Rick Dykstra, on Tom McConnell's show on 610 CKTV.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Is this the way that I should feel? Is this the way that I should feel? Is there a need to be concerned?
Welcome back. I'm Jim Fannin. Frick is running the board. This Disorder. Fresh tune. Take the bumper music serious around here. Check out our show on Sunday. We bring live acts in. They play live from the producer's booth. We got a taste of that. We'll talk about that at 10 o'clock when Clark Bitter comes in about the launch of the Green Party campaign. Right now, Rick Dykstra is my guest.
How do you relate music and the Green Party together?
Well, because they had 8 bands there last night. And, I didn't start it, but it was a tradition of mine to bring in local acts, feed them a nice big fat tax receipt. That you can't pay them cash when you're the Green Party. We don't have a lot of money to go around and get the tragically hip like the Conservatives do, or whatever. But I just been bringing them in the show. I used them to kind of raise awareness.
So this was a fundraiser last night?
Yeah, Bitter launched last night at Taps. Gotcha. He had CAC himself. This guy can rap. Forget Eminem. Jessica Wilson, she won Pitbull's contest. Paige Kopp, 15-year-old high school student, sounds like Courtney Love, just that smoky, deep, really cool voice. And so, we were just talking off air, and you said, hey, I take the local music scene very seriously here. I think that we have a pocket of talent that doesn't exist anywhere in the world. And I only know that because the musicians say, hey, I've traveled all over the world, man. And this is something special in Niagara, St. Catharines, Niagara Falls. We have an abundance of we've got some talent that's come out of it. We've got some talent like, Dallas Green that's made it big. And then we've got guys that are just as talented. Sexsmith? Yeah, Ron Sexsmith, Aiden Miller. I look at his YouTube videos. He's got like 40 views. This guy is unbelievably talented. Mice on the Hurricane, X-Prime. The list goes off the hook. What do we do to help these kids, these guys? Because, and Clark Bitter made a good point in the last campaign. When people get laid off and fired, they pick up their guitars and they go try and make some money off it. So how do we encourage them? How do we empower them to go make some money in the music business? Well,
it's been a fascinating experience for me to being over at Heritage. Like when I first got there, I wasn't quite sure, what my responsibilities would be.
I see. So you had to change the department. So now you're heading up committees that you aren't familiar with necessarily. Well,
and you get to talk about issues like we just finished a review of Canadian music, and we have a fund
that must have been
Factor,
cool.
and Musique Action, which is the French version of how we fund Canadian musicians that are trying to become successful. And it's fascinating. It was about we actually extended the study just based on the fact of all of the witnesses we were getting from all over the country. And when you look at the massive changes that have taken place in the music industry over the last 20 years, I don't need to tell you, like we moved to the fact we're now digital, we're streaming. And how do these folks that are in the business, that are artists, that want to make a living at it, they've had to become entrepreneurs for one thing. They
Absolutely.
are business individuals now because they have to find a way to turn their art into business to be able to survive.
Distribute it.
And move it around. You're absolutely right. And this is how I fundamentally, I guess it was explained to me, in the fact that when the business and the industry was about selling albums or CDs, that's where everyone made their money. Mm-hmm. If you were able to sell millions or hundreds of thousands of those, you could make a living. So, 20% of the industry was making 80% of the money,
right?
But the other 80% of the industry could make a decent money out of the 20% of the cash that was left. Now we're at the point where 1% of the industry is making 99% of the money. And we've got everyone else trying to survive on 1% out there. And so it's completely flipped. We now have groups and individuals who are successful artists. They have to make their money touring. They have to get out there. They have to get people into seats, and that's how they're going to make a living. And when you look at the way the industry has changed, government. We talked about this, how slow government moves. We need to find a way to change, adapt the CRTC, Canadian content, all of those things, all of those decisions need to be moved very, very quickly. So the intent and purpose of the study really is to put the government on a new track, on a different track when it comes to how do we fund artists. How do we
convince
fund
me this study isn't just going to get buried in 800 pages of 600 recommendations that never go anywhere.
And listen, I have to say, from an all-party perspective, we've got Stefan Dion, who sits on the committee from the Liberal Party.
Stefan who?
Dion.
Okay.
You remember him?
Oh, green tax shift guy. Yeah, way to go.
So he sits on the...
Got you buried.
He sits on the committee for the Liberals, and the NDP have three members, and we actually all agree that this study needs to be nothing. It can't be pages and reams of just witness testimony. We need something that's going to be concise. We need something that's going to be focused, and we need something that's only going to have a few recommendations in it, not 20 or 30 or 40 to try to keep everyone happy.
Laser focused.
3, 4, 5, 6 recommendations that really can do something to assist the industry and move it forward.
Rick Dykstra is my guest. Herb, thanks for your patience. You're on with Rick.
Oh, thank you. How are you?
Good. Go.
Well, my little complaint is about employment insurance, EIEIO, I call it. I'll try to be short and sweet. I have a son who's 20 years old. He was born in 1994. He was born with only 3 fingers in each hand. They were webbed. We had to get that operated. His left hand he can't make a fist with. But anyways, when he was 16, he worked at a golf course, after school, summertime. And
Herb,
then,
you got a question for Rick?
Okay, I'd like to know why my son, employment insurance is screwing my son around. He quit a job, got another job for more money, then got laid off, and they're trying to tell him that
Herb,
he's not allowed unemployment, and he has no money. He's disillusioned. And I said, how do you like these Mickey Mouse rules now? So,
Herb, you guys live here in St. Catharines?
I live in Fort Erie. I've been to Anna's office. She's been there. She's faxed everything.
Okay.
Nicholson's office there.
Okay.
And now they send another letter and saying, oh, well, you got to appeal again and all this, all this stuff. They're just totally screwing my son around. He's totally disillusioned, and
Herb, I
think they owe him money.
Herb, you got an excellent federal member of Parliament in Niagara Falls. You keep working with his office. Don't relent on this stuff. Keep at it, because if you've got your case and it's going to be right, stay on top of it, and he will get what he deserves.
Okay. Awesome. Well done, Rick. Murray, we'll get to you on the other side of the break. Can you stick around just for another quick segment? You're good, man, Mr. Dykstra. I don't know if Bitter's here yet, but we'll bump him for a segment. He's getting bumped all over the place. Poor Clark Bitter, the Green Party. Doormat. 905-688-2582. Murray, wait on the phone. We'll get to you next. Rick Dykstra is my guest. Don't forget, Vox Populi at 11:30, right here on 610 CKTB.
Bless my heart, bless my soul. Didn't think I'd make it to 22 years old.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
If Tommy lets one bumper run long, which he accuses me of doing all the time, get your guests, get to the calls. They don't want to hear music. Is that a good Tom McConnell? No. Camps likes it. This is a great tune. I always know when it's 10 o'clock as soon as I hear the drums. Remember those fake drums, the electronic drums? What do they call those ones?
Yeah, Platinum Blonde, Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah. Capital City, safe and sound. Great tune.
It was on a lot during the Olympics. Is it great?
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Did somebody make a commercial?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
In fact, Bell.
Who?
Bell made a commercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I should know that.
I thought it was the best commercial during the Olympics, actually.
905-688-2582. Rick Dykstra is my guest. Then we go to the phones. Murray, thanks for holding over the break. You're on with Rick Dykstra.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for coming on the air, Rick.
Thanks, Murray.
Hey, just one opinion and the next, just a political view on something. I mean, I know you're federal, and thank God that your boss is in there now, right? I mean, or unless, if not, Canada would have been in the same shape that Ontario is.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think Jim agrees, but I certainly do.
I'm not saying anything. I'm good.
You got to sit this by a socialist once in a while, you know?
I'm not listening.
But, you know, it's the opinion morally is about apathy, and like, personally, like, I'm a small business owner, but, like, personally, when I go to the vote, you know, and I talk with local people around me, you know, and they're all tired about what's going on. But then you see the polls, and you go, oh my God, like, we didn't even matter in the Niagara region because Toronto overrode us. Right? I mean... Yeah,
no, there's look, we've always had that difficulty, right? And I do think that that's part of the reason why we need to really, whether you're at the provincial or federal level, you have to take those issues. You got to take the Niagara issues, and we need to do it as a group, regardless of whether or not Malcolm Allen and I are on the same team. Politically, there are issues that, regardless, we have to work together with, because that's how Niagara is going to get its voice at the federal level. Because you're right, there's areas like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, big cities that have a lot of members of parliament that tend to to try to dominate a discussion, and we are a huge and important piece of the landscape here in the province of Ontario. And I think you're absolutely right, Maria. I mean, I don't know what motivates you to vote. I mean, that's a big question. What gets people motivated to get off their butt and participate in the process and vote? And I'm hearing from your perspective that it's making sure that costs are under control, that deficits aren't part of are part of a political landscape for a party or a government, and the other piece is that small business needs to be motivated and needs to give the opportunity to create jobs and make some money.
Well, for me, I think it starts right in the schools. Like right in the schools, right about propaganda. Like when I went to school, they taught me about, Hitler and how Hitler became as big as he became because of propaganda. And so they use that example to teach us to read between the lines, see where the money's coming from, research to find out if people are telling the truth. And it doesn't seem like people do that today. I mean, it's almost like you can go out and say the sky is black, and then next time you'll have a whole busload of people running around saying the sky is black. Right?
And it's got to be the easiest thing in the world today is being able to research. It's at our fingertips. So appreciate the call.
So I would like to see that education brought back into the schools so kids learn to think on their own. Because obviously if we don't have people training the young people how to think for themselves, I mean, we're in a world of hurting.
Murray, appreciate your time on the Tom McConnell Show today. Rick, I appreciate your time too. I know you got to get going, so we'll get you out of here at the end of the segment. Tell me a little bit about the cyberbullying. Man, do we really want government looking over our shoulder all the time in the name of cyberbullying? And I mean, this is a scary issue. Tell me about what you guys have planning on bringing forward so the government has the right to just go in and look at what you're doing.
Well, look, it's not a right to do whatever we want. The governments just don't work that way. They're based on our Constitution, based on charter rights and freedoms, and based on
we've seen that
legislation.
Through the states, that doesn't matter much. They're checking everything, man.
Well,
you figure, I want my government spying on other people, and me, for that matter.
The bad guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to spy on the good guys, too, to get the bad guys, right?
Well, the whole issue around, bullying isn't a new phenomena. It's something that from an educational, Murray's talking about education and getting kids to understand, why it's something that shouldn't happen. And unfortunately, cyberbullying is something that has led to some catastrophic suicidal deaths. And we're called to act. People want to see us do whatever we can from a government perspective to make sure that cyberbullying is prevented. It doesn't happen. And if it means if the police are informed about a potential issue, then they've got a format. They have the right to be able to try to protect the individual, try to protect the family, and I think that's part of what we're trying to do and accomplish that in a way that isn't going to be invasive of personal and private rights, but at the same time protects society and protects individuals.
Great. Rick, what do you got coming up this week? You're home all week?
We got folk arts. The next 2 weeks is it's one of the best times to be in Niagara and St. Catharines. So we get kicked off tomorrow at noon.
A lot of kitchens this week.
I'm going to be hitting some kitchens this week. This is the one time I think you got to let yourself go and have enjoy
you're
the
looking
food.
Good. You're keeping the weight off.
Well,
you haven't been at the trough too much, it looks like.
I know I stay away from it because I know guys like you will talk about it.
There you go. So any special events you want to promote that you got coming up?
Well, we got the opening and kickoff of folk arts tomorrow at City Hall at noon.
Okay.
And obviously Sunday the Tide begins. All of the open houses. There's a number. I believe Wednesday night, Club Heidelberg's got their kickoff. So it's a big week. I know there's a lot happening, and I really do think get to the Folk Arts website, check out what's happening over the next 2 weeks because it is a lot of fun, and there's a real cool spirit that happens in this community when Folk Arts comes around. So we should try to pick up on it.
This is great. We've got a huge diversity, and we come from all kinds of different backgrounds, and it's just so great to see the different cultures coming together and under one roof of folk arts to celebrate multiculturalism.
Yep, longest folk arts festival, running folk arts festival in the country. So,
Rick Dykstra, appreciate the time. Thanks for coming in. That's a full hour. That's epic. Love that. Hi, is Tom on holidays? Jim? Yes, he is. He'll be back Tuesday. I'm here Monday. And Nat says they should put NOTA on the top of the ballot. Thank you, Nat. 11 o'clock, we'll talk to Greg Vezina about the None of the Above party. Clark Bitter's next if he's made it down. And we're going to talk a little Niagara Music Awards, too, at 11:15. This is Jim Fannin in for Tom McConnell on 610 CKTB. Welcome back. I'm Jim Fannin. Campy's genius. Little Green Bag for my friend Clark Bitter. Who sings Little Green Bag? Reservoir Dogs?
Baker.
George Baker?
Yeah, from the Reservoir Dogs.
It was
soundtrack,
Reservoir
you might
Dogs.
recognize it.
Yeah.
Right on.
One of my favorites down in 97. The summer of 97 at the Lakeside, Little Green Bag was one of our favorite hits. Maybe that's when we got into Reservoir Dogs. Campy running the board. Clark Bitter, welcome to the studio. You've been here many times before.
I have. Good morning, Jim.
What a great time last night, man. I got home late, and then I had to listen to Mike Schreiner's interview with Tim. Well, I didn't, but I had missed it, so caught that on the podcast.
Get up that early to listen to it when he was on at 7:20?
No, I missed it. I was actually doing something else, but so I can't listen to 610 24/7. So that's great. Just head on down to 610ckTB.com. All the multimedia is there. Tom's interviews, Tim's interviews, Larry's.
It's wonderful
Cages.
that the podcasts are up there. Because,
it's
people
really
do
cool.
miss shows, and I listen to Mike, and Mike again is a voice of integrity and honesty, and voice of reason.
He sounds pretty non-political, almost like he's not a politician when he says, listen, we're going to make some tough choices. Here's why we're going to have to pay for it. I know it hurts to say it, but, I'm going to be honest with the public, and I'll take my lumps. I mean, what's he got to lose? He's not going to get bounced from government. His vote total can't go lower than 2.5%. Well, I mean, not much lower, but we've seen him up at closer to 10 as well. When they had the public private school, Catholic school board thing was one of their main planks. Even Steve Paikin from TVO did an article on it the other day saying, hey,
on the agenda,
maybe this is a game changer.
Well, when Mike rolled out the platform, that was probably the part that got the most attention. $1.6 billion is quite a bit of money.
Every year.
Every single year.
Damn straight, that's a lot of money.
One of the things we realized, and over the last 4 years or so, was, that 50% of high school age special needs kids are being asked by their principals not to come to school.
I didn't know that until yesterday or 2 nights ago when you told me.
And 30% of elementary kids. Now, that's not necessarily in our region.
Now, that's a resource problem? Funding?
It's funding. There's no money for the programs.
Lack of resources.
And, Tim Hudak came out and said that he's going to raise class sizes by 3 kids per class and lay off. That's a direct results in 10% layoff of teachers. Class sizes are 30 right now. He wants to raise them to 33. That's so.
Isn't our demographic? Everyone going to lose teachers anyways? Or demographic shifting? We're going to lose some teachers, no?
Under our plan, we actually probably have to hire teachers. We amalgamate the school boards. We eliminate 1 out of every 2 administrative positions because they're redundant.
Mm-hmm.
Right here in Niagara, that means just at the top position, over $500,000.
Okay.
Because we have 2 directors of education, both making in that range of money. We then fully fund every program, including every special needs program. It puts a high school back in Niagara-on-the-Lake. There's 1,000 high school age kids live in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
I don't know how a community survives without a hospital or a school. A school.
They don't. They're going
to have to. They're busting their kids out, but you don't have the quality of life, and then you don't recruit people, and then you don't have good real estate prices, and then taxes go up. I mean,
what's the first
impacts
thing
are
people
huge.
ask
Hospitals
you
and schools.
When in real estate,
absolutely.
What's the closest school, and then they Google it and look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we we go to our constituents. We go to the people in our ridings. They tell us what's important to them, and then we go to Mike and we go to the party and we say, this is what the people are telling me. And we're allowed to do that. That's how our party works. That's how parties are supposed to work. The people are supposed to tell the representatives what to bring back, what to bring to Queen's Park. Not Queen's Park telling their people what to bring.
So are
to
you trying? Are you going to sit here and actually try and convince me that the GPO is still a grassroots organization, that's not centralized in a leader like the GPC and Elizabeth May? Because I mean that
we're still we're centralized in this campaign.
Well, certainly you are in the campaign. You're putting all your money into Guelph, trying to get Mike Schreiner elected.
All the party money
just like Elizabeth May.
For Mike, because we need to have a sitting MPP in order to bring that voice of reason.
I don't think it's a bad strategy, but if he fails, the party's broke and Schreiner's out, isn't he?
Well, let's not talk about that right now. Like seriously,
you have to say if Elizabeth May failed, they put all the resources in the GPC into Senate Golf. She got herself elected.
She did.
But if she didn't, the party would have been flat broke, and they wouldn't have been any further ahead.
It'll be an uphill climb if Mike doesn't get elected.
Okay.
But I'm very confident that he will.
You are.
Guelph.
I mean, Guelph is a strong greed riding, and Mike Nagy's worked that market for a long time. He was a great candidate when I was around.
And we're doing well in
Schreiner's
a couple other ridings too. Well. We may surprise some people and get more than one MPP.
Yeah, there's is it Dufferin?
I think
the
so.
other strong riding.
Dufferin's doing quite well, and we're gaining traction in Niagara as well. Once again, I've gone out to the public and heard what their concerns are, and their concerns are that they feel left out of government, that their voice doesn't count. A lot of people are against things or for things, and the government does what they want to do. They don't listen to the people. They feel excluded from the vote. It showed in the by-election with only 37% of the electorate coming out to vote. And that needs to change. Proportional representation will change that. If the Green Party were to get 5% under proportional representation, we would get 5% of the seats. Mm-hmm. So a vote for us would then have a voice, and I think that's one of the things we have to push for. One of the major things that I want to talk about today is Marineland.
Nice segue. You just get your own show. And that's a great point. I mean, they opened this weekend. Holler's been running a multi-million-dollar business that employs a lot of people. Crying out loud. It employed me from the age of 11 to 15 when I was working as a summer student for $1.75 an hour is when I started at Marineland. I had a relationship with a whale. I'd go in that aquarium every morning. She'd roll over. I can't even remember what her name was. But she was in the aquarium where I could get good access to her. I just hung down off the railing, and she'd roll over on her belly, and I'd scratch her all down. She'd circle around, come back around. It was the coolest thing.
Was she in that tank by herself?
I think she was.
Yeah, she was lonely.
Oh God! But I had no idea, right? And now I've seen blackfish, and now once I became of age to understand that these animals are not happy, it was such a cool thing to be able. Every morning I went in, I punched my before I punched my card, I go and check it, and it was such a cool experience. I don't know how much of a relationship I had with this animal, but I appreciate that I had that in my life. But that was before I was,
aware.
Well, yeah, and then you see the sickness, and when you're around them, you see behind the scenes, man, it's some ugly stuff back there. So we will get back to Marineland after this break. We will take your calls if you have a call, a question for Clark Bitter. Your time is 10:27. This is Jim Fannin in for Tom McConnell, who's back on Tuesday, right here on 610 CKDB.
Green-eyed lady, lovely lady, strolling slowly towards the sun. Green-eyed lady, ocean lady, soothing every raging wave that comes.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin, filling in for the great TMC, who's back on Tuesday. What, long weekend at the cottage camp? Must be.
Yeah.
Vegas, cottage. It's good to be the king. Tom McConnell. I am your substitute teacher. Get in line, students. Clark Bitter, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jim.
That was a wicked party last night. Good to see Jim Diodati come in right at the height of things. I don't know if that... I didn't know he was coming in.
I did.
When I hear, Jimmy! And I turn around, I'm like, Jimmy? Jimmy! Hey, Mayor Jimmy D!
Rock star.
He is a rock star in Niagara Falls. He's doing a great job. We got a lot of time for Jim, even though he supported Liberal Joyce Morocco. Is he going to come out and support this other plug they just appointed? 26-year-old neophyte. Talk about a sacrificial lamb. That guy's just getting put up.
Well, I respect him for running.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to run in
it's hard to have
elections.
respect for the Liberals when they're just putting this guy out to pasture.
I'm talking about the individual at the moment. I think, he's young. He's 26. He obviously wants a future in
litigation lawyer.
He's a litigation lawyer. Lionel Tupman.
Yep.
He's got the look. I haven't heard. Unfortunately, we were having our launch party yesterday, and I wanted to listen to him at 5:00 here. I didn't get a chance to listen to him.
Didn't he, Steph? I don't think he came in.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, they're not doing any media till next week, apparently.
Oh,
well, they want to leave until there's only 2 weeks left in the election. I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, good job last night. Thank you for continuing a tradition that's been close to me anyways by bringing in some local acts, local bands. I've been doing it here on the show. I did it as a Green Party candidate back in 06.
Talking to Rick about it earlier as well.
I learned a lot talking to Rick. Well, I always, he's got a lot of information. And when
Stefan
he's in
Dion is in there.
And the committee, yeah.
Stephen who? So Stefan, I caught that too. But, Stefan is a very intelligent man.
Oh, absolutely.
And knowing that he's in there and it's a bipartisan approach to what to do about Canadian music inspired me. It made me feel better about things. I can't wait to see what the result is going to be. It all sounded sane and proper. It definitely needs to be addressed because the industry has changed.
Right.
And indie music, particularly in Niagara Falls, is a struggle. We have a wealth of talent here. I mean, you just saw, we saw 5 or 6 bands last night, artists, and every single one of them was from a different genre. We had a 15-year-old girl. We had an 18-year-old. We had...
Who are just old souls, man. That Jessica Wilson's got so much personality, and Paige Kopp, step back, Courtney Love. Like, talk about a deep, dark, smoky voice, and she loves to rock, man. Her mom was telling me about... being worried. She's in the mosh pit with these big guys. Like, she likes to rock it out.
She's a rocker.
15 years old and a good kid. No, not boy crazy. Doesn't have a boyfriend to speak of. Just serious about music.
Very, very serious about music.
She's cute.
Recording an
I feel
album
bad.
in
Every time I
September.
look at her, she smiles at me, and I'm thinking, you can't sing with a smile on your face. Her mom says, oh, no. Every time she makes eye contact with someone, she's smiling. I'm like, okay.
It is kind of funny to see someone who's basically
so cute.
grunge smiling the whole time. It's
so
like,
cute.
no, grunge don't smile.
Yeah. No, you did a nice job there last night.
I don't think the others had people bouncing to the hip hop.
Tell me about
a full dance floor with the CAC himself.
The CAC himself. So this guy's a legend, eh? In Niagara Falls.
I'd
never heard about him. I saw some YouTube videos and very interesting.
He truly is an inspiration. The CAC himself.
KAC.
Yeah, Chris Colver is his name.
Okay.
The CAC, K, Chris with a K, and C, Colver.
Okay.
Chris gives 100% of his net proceeds to charity, has since the day he started.
Do you know which one?
Various ones, all kinds of them.
Really?
Almost all local.
So his performance gigs or all his music
all
stuff?
All his merch, all his CD sales, all of his performance.
Wow.
A lot of his time is donated. No tax receipts, nothing. Just all come and perform. You raise the money and you keep it.
Was he wearing green glasses without lenses last night?
He was. He's a big Green supporter. And
he can rap, man. Like I'm a huge Eminem fan. I got a lot of time for that type, and he's so honest. And I don't know the CAC himself's lyrics that well, but he can.
Well, he does it so
rap,
fast;
man.
they're hard to grab.
Wow! And he can rap to anything. He's going to come in Sunday and do my show.
He can rap
actually,
the phone book. That guy.
He's going to come in and do my show, and all he needs is his iPhone.
That's it.
He's going to plug into it.
Yeah.
And he just lays the beats down and he raps right over top of it. I'm really excited about Sunday. We'll check out how that's going to be.
So am I. I'm glad we could hook you guys up. That was great.
I hooked up with a lot of people.
And I want to thank all the supporters who came out last night.
You had a pretty good room.
Aaron, who's on next, was there.
We're going to talk Niagara Music Awards with Aaron next.
It's arts and culture and music is really, truly a viable economic engine for Niagara Falls.
We talked about that too. I'm not sure that I get the impact of the employment and the revenues that arts and culture brings to the region.
It's straightforward. Look at Niagara-on-the-Lake. Mm-hmm. Before the Shaw Festival, Queen Street in Niagara-on-the-Lake made Queen Street in Niagara Falls look like it was booming. Mm. I saw pictures of it in the last, and it was the same as the other one was. They brought it in there now, and those restaurants are full. All those people employed along the strip there, they all work there because of the Shaw, the beautification of the street down there, the increase in tourism to Niagara-on-the-Lake as a direct result of it. GO Train to this region will only increase that. And if we move music and festivals deeper into the city of Niagara Falls, rather than always just focusing it down at a provincial park, rather than in the city of Niagara Falls, we can spur the economy of our city to the point where everybody benefits. It's not just the person on stage that makes money off of a performance or that gains a living off of it. It's also the lighting people, the sound people, the peripheral businesses in the area, the food vendors that might come to a festival, the merchandise vendors, the person hosting it. We need to work with our local BIAs and our municipal governments together with the provincial government. And even in this case, obviously, the federal government has taken an interest in this. We make a worldwide impact through music. I mean, just look at the musicians that have come out of this area. You got Finger 11, you've got Dallas Green,
Trues,
the Trues, and
Ron Sexsmith.
Ron Sexsmith. It goes on and on. Even Miley Cyrus's song was written and
FM's done their part with Rock Search too,
and continues to. Yeah. Christy was announcing the top 12 today. I haven't heard who they are yet, but I know.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah, so
that's cool.
My vote was going for I Got Gloria. They played our launch party in the by-election.
Really?
And,
see.
Bunch of good young kids, and I haven't really checked out who else is there yet. But kudos to this station and 97.7.
FM's had a long tradition with Rock Search and really helping discover bands. Give them a kick in the ass and a pat in the bum and saying, "Get out of here, go make yourself some money." And the Trues have given back too. I mean, Trues came back and played a mansion show that was 97.7 invite only. Just the callers came in.
Yeah, and it's the music industry is like that. It's as Aaron Berger and Carl David say, "You are me." It's all about all of us. And extending that throughout the industry. And a lot of these people aren't businessmen, and they get asked to play for exposure a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Well, people die from exposure. You wouldn't ask your cook in your restaurant to come in and cook for exposure, or your waiter. Don't ask your musicians to. Bar owners, pay attention. Pay the musicians. These people, for every hour they're on stage, they put 20 hours of effort into that 1 hour. They practice. They learn music. They teach themselves. They write music. They record. They promote your bar. Mm-hmm. Don't take advantage of them. Pay them.
Clark Bitter, I appreciate your time for coming. Thanks for coming in. Now, I just have to notice that Harvard sweatshirt you got on. How's Connor doing?
He's great.
Your son's at Harvard, first year?
He's just finished his
scholarship,
first year.
Right?
Yeah, he's financed by Harvard, and he returned at some point yesterday. We're not sure. He had some trouble. He's going to Toronto where my father is, and he had some trouble. He lost a bag, and the airport got shut down for a fire alarm or something. I caught his Twitter feed, but we didn't get to see him. And for those that didn't get to hear me about Marineland, check out my Facebook and Twitter page.
How do you get a hold of you on Twitter?
Clark Bitter.
At Clark Bitter?
At Clark Bitter.
Check him out on Facebook. Your candidate for the Green Party of Ontario in Niagara Falls. Up next, the Niagara Music Awards. Coming into a 7th year. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. And then 11 o'clock, we're going to talk about the None of the Above Party. 905-688-2582. Change up the numbers on you. Text 610-10 right here on 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. That bumper music, thanks to Camps. Well done, Camps.
Aaron Berger.
Aaron Berger is a Niagara Music Award winner, like Corey Cruz.
Yep.
Last night, playing Bitter's campaign launch party.
Yeah.
What a nice boy. You know what? My mother would say if I was a girl, I want you to be with a nice boy like that. He seems like it. He's not your typical rock and roller. He's got a few tats, but just... I don't know. He's got a lot of time for everyone. Just a really nice boy. Aaron Berger came in, blew my mind. Black Flies bring Aaron Berger's CD into me. Said, hey, Aaron wants you to check him out. I put the CD in my car. It stayed there for a month and a half. Then he played my show, and I realized that I'm listening to a song that's got St. Catharines in the lyrics. The title is St. Catharines.
Yeah.
And I'm a homer. I'm a small town kid, North End brat. And to hear my song or my city in a song that could go somewhere, I don't know where it's gone yet, but he won Niagara Music Awards. So Erin Visentin is my guest. I should set that up. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
I pick up, when I go to bars at night, which is very rarely, I pick up bands. You just happen to be the executive director of Niagara Music Awards. I'm talking to a few. The CAC himself is going to play my show.
Oh, he's great. He's everywhere.
He blew my mind last night. I'm like, Eminem, this guy's got talent.
He totally
and so
does.
I'm talking to him. Somebody said, hey, you got to cover the NMAs. I'm like, well, when is it? I'm thinking it's coming up this weekend. Erin's your girl. You got to talk to her. So over I go, introduce myself, and here you are. So thanks for coming in.
Did, yeah.
Now, tell me about the Niagara Music Awards. So, I mean, I know why it's important, but lately I've seen a little social media about it. I've seen a little bit of promotion for it, but you're taking this in a different direction, same direction than it was, because, I mean, it hasn't been at the top of mind of lots of us anyways. I don't know how heavily it's participated in, how many people you get out to it.
Well, we're kicking into our 7th season, so, we're working behind the scenes, from the fall to January. So now we're just stepping out again.
So you have a launch coming up?
Yeah. Our launch party's May 27th on a Tuesday, and we're hosting it this time at Taps Brewery on Queen Street, Niagara Falls.
Taps are getting a lot of pub. They're doing a lot of community gigs,
They're all about community.
And they're supporting
Everybody
a lot of
goes
local
there.
bands.
They totally do. It's a great venue. The beer is awesome.
Not too bad.
Right?
I had
They
2
brew it
pints
right there.
last night. I said, well, what do you got that resembles a Pilsner? Because I'm a green bottle guy, and he brought me something that was pretty
It's
decent.
awesome
It wasn't
there.
offensive.
I go there all the time.
Cool.
Yeah, they're always great there. And so we're having our launch there. We're having the Mandevilles play, Eric Conlon, Matt Keegan, and Theater Crisp. They're all playing. And they're
straight up
so fun.
studs.
So fun.
Jay Beatty and the boys, Kyle,
I asked them, they're like, yep. You ask any of these bands if they want to be a part of it, and they're all for it. Mm-hmm. That's the part of community that we love, and that's what we celebrate.
So you're launching in May.
Yeah.
Your submissions are cut off when?
June.
Because just talking to you in a quick half an hour that we had a pint last night, I'm like, well, how about Aiden Miller? How about X Prime? How about, and you're like, well, tell them to get their submissions in. So June, the submissions are cut off.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you 10. I'm going to have 10 of the guys that I see around town that are amazing Niagara talents. And is that how we grow this thing? Is by having the winners of your award actually go somewhere and do something like the Trues, like Ron Sexsmith or what have you?
Yeah, like Tim Hicks. Tim Hicks is won.
Big. Right.
And he just won a Juno.
Nice.
For country. And this year we're partnering up with the Friendship Festival. So our winners from last year are playing on Canada Day, main stage, Friendship Festival.
Right. Good
they
for
all
you.
get their, time to shine. And it's a big audience. It's a great day. Huh. So the CAC's going to be there. Aaron Berger won last year. Book for Wanderers won.
Anthony Botting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
There's a list of them. There's
Spooky
about 12
talent,
people
those two
that
guys.
are. Yeah, they've just been around forever. They've been playing forever, and they're so talented.
There's a guy that really appreciates music. I'm looking at these guys going, that's different again. You got Theater Chris. We got My Son the Hurricane, who's, let's talk about different. And then Botting comes in, and I'm like, whoa, it's like Pink Floyd-esque, kind of spooky and dark.
Very, yeah.
It's almost not poppy and happy.
Reminds you of Radiohead a bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And style's very great, yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about this pocket of talent that we have here in Niagara. I didn't really know that we are into something like this is uncommon. It doesn't exist in other parts of the world. Like, we got something special in Niagara.
We do. We really honestly do. And I think, like, for the Niagara Music Awards, it's the people that are keeping it alive. Like, it really is. It's everybody being like, yes, we need this, we want this. It just it brings attention to the artists, and that's what it's all about. Because there's so many in the city, and it is not like that. It's not like that in, like, Oshawa, or, you think of, like,
and the only reason I know that is because these rock stars that travel all over the world say, Jimmy, no, this area is special.
It's got something.
Talent.
Yeah.
Lots of talent. And we need to treat that as a natural resource of our community.
Yeah. And my goal for this is to bring in everyone. This is for the region, not just for Niagara Falls. This is for, Stony Creek. This is for St. Catharines. This is for Welland. This is for Chippewa. This is for Fort Erie. It's the whole region, not just Niagara Falls. It's the Niagara region. So the best thing we want to do is, get everyone involved, get everyone to help, I'm taking it on, but we could use, as much help as we can.
Looking for sponsorship, obviously.
Yeah, sponsorships, all that kind of stuff,
So your launch is Tuesday at TAPS? Coming Tuesday?
Yes, it is.
At TAPS, you get some bands playing?
Yes, we do.
Who we got for that?
The Mandevilles,
you said
Eric
that already.
Conlon, I'll say it again.
All right, good.
Matt Keegan, and Theater Crisp.
Oh, that's this Tuesday night at TAPS, so I need to come up.
No, it's not this Tuesday. It's May 27th.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for straightening that out.
I will.
And then your cutoff date is in June?
Yes. And the actual awards
That's a submission cutoff date for the talent?
Yes.
And then the event, the award show, and nobody knows until the day of, kind of like the Oscars, they open the ballot and boom?
Boom.
September?
It's the second Tuesday of September, the 16th.
Okay, and at an outdoor stage at TAPS.
We are doing it completely different this year. We're going to host it outside under a huge tent, red carpet, big stage.
I like
outside. We're switching it up. We want something different, so we're going to have fun with it.
At TAPS.
Yeah, at TAPS.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming in. See? You nailed it.
Thank you
awesome.
for having me.
Erin Visentin, the executive director of the Niagara Music Awards. This thing's going to blow up. You got a lot of talent. You got...
Get ready, Niagara. Get ready, world.
I can't wait till Steam Whistle's like a corporate sponsor, and we can get green bottles over at the place that only brews their own beer. Campy, who's this? No. Aaron Berger?
This is
Book of Wanderers?
Yeah.
Book for Wanderers.
Yeah.
Anthony Botting. I can't remember the other guy's name. Horrible with names. A Book for Wanderers, another great talent in the region. Coming up next, Greg Vezina, the evil genius, joins us on the phone. He's just got his none of the above party reserved for the provincial election. Can you believe it? You'll be able to vote for a party that's called none of the above. Greg Vezina, after this on 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Campy, I love you, man. You make this job a lot easier, Priftis. Good job on the board. It's all about the producer. As a caller, I always said, it's not the host show. All you do is get made look good by the producer. So Campy, well done, man. I'm happy.
I could be playing Bee Gees if you want.
Yeah,
I can
thank
play
you.
Spice Girls. Lead you in like that. How about that?
Couple texts. Woody the Texter. Jimmy hooked me up with a band that can play my pig roast. Woody, I have the band for you. I don't know who it's going to be, but your pig roast is going to rock out this year. We'll see that happens. Rick is well-spoken and handles himself well. Could you imagine having Eubanks on the segment instead of him, the anonymous blogger known as Bob Eubanks? Ooh. We're not going there. My next guest on the phone, and I'm going to leave him on hold because once you let this guy roll, this segment's going to move fast. We actually got Greg until the bottom of the hour when you get to say your own piece for 2 minutes. Vox Populi starts at 11:30, runs till 12:30, and then we go to the noon 30. Greg Vezina is my guest. He's been on the show a couple times. Greg Vezina was the first guy to recruit me in 1993 as a Green Party candidate so that the GPC at the time, the Green Party of Canada, was not dissolved by the Mulroney government. So I ran as one of the 50-some-odd candidates to keep the party alive so that it didn't go into the abyss. Greg Vezina is also known as Hydrofuel Inc. We've talked ammonia fuel on this show many times. We talked about his book, Democracy, which I understand is used as a teaching instrument in higher learning centers around the country, talking about proportional representation, direct democracy, reform, referendum, recall mechanism. Greg Vezina, thanks for taking the time. Today we're talking about, let me get this straight. You are officially the leader of the None of the Above party.
Correct.
Now,
it's officially registered as a political party in Ontario as of today.
So did they break because you threatened to sue them? You don't think Elections Ontario is scared of Greg Vezina, do you?
Well, yesterday they notified us they refused to register. The day before at 4 in the afternoon, 4:30, they notified us they refused to allow us to register the name None of the Above. Or register None of the Above party. So I served documents on them and went to court yesterday.
Oh, you did?
I did.
And you got heard right off the floor?
Well, it was an emergency motion that was to be heard at 2 o'clock, and they were served. And at 5 to 2, the chief counsel for Elections Ontario notified me that they'd consent to settle and allow us to register the name None of the Above Party of Ontario and be seen on the ballot as None of the Above Party if I consented to withdraw the action. So there was a settlement.
Wow.
And they gave us the name. Yeah, I won.
Now, Greg, talk to me about the conflict here, man. You're a founding member of the Green Party, a founding candidate way back in the 80s.
Federally and provincially, right?
Right. I mean, you've been a consultant to the Liberals. I mean, the Conservatives, when they'll actually listen to you. You're a Mike Harris backer. You ran in Scarborough, Ellesmere, I think it was, in whatever year, as a provincial progressive conservative candidate.
90, yeah.
Doesn't this just bail out on the whole system of, you're not backing anyone now? Doesn't this throw the whole system into, to quote you, disrepute?
Well, I don't know whether I'd use the word disrepute, but the party system has become more questionable in the last couple of years than it has, since Confederation. There is now ample evidence that policies of parties are like Christmas ornaments on a Christmas tree. They throw all these wonderful baubles out there and hope that the village idiots will believe them. And then they get a majority government, and most of the things that they believed in when they were running for office disappear. And unfortunately, the Green Party has now suffered from that disease. The Green Party was founded as having a titular leader, having the leader only being an election candidate, and, independent candidates having their own positions, et cetera, et cetera. Now the Green Party is all about using all its resources to elect a leader, and it's abandoned all of its principles. Nowhere in this election do we see the Green Party talking about direct democracy, electoral reform, referenda, or MPs or MPPs being accountable to their constituents. So unfortunately, the Green Party has now become one of the above. And the none of the above party is not a joke. The none of the above party has three policies. It's called the 3 R's of democracy. And those are very simply responsible government, which includes electoral and legislative reform, referenda, and recall. The people of Ontario, more than half of them want some of the tools of direct democracy, and all of the major parties, as you know, Jim, at some point in the last 20 years have promised them. Mike Harris, who I ran with in 90 and who introduced the resolution to change the Constitution to one person, one vote from a delegated convention and let him win the leadership at all, because Dennis Timbrell would have been anointed. He promised to keep his promises, but more importantly, pass a citizens' referenda law so that he and all that followed would do it. Now, that was, when he was at 18 seats and 10% in the polls. Then he gets a majority, and there's a referendum in Toronto on amalgamation that loses 70-30%. And although there were 103 MPs in the legislature, and 100 of them supported the referenda bill, which he took to committee and drafted, 3 didn't. And the 3 were Mike Harris, Bob Ray, and Dalton McGuinty, and they killed the bill. And that's because party leaders and party insiders are very, very afraid of democracy. They don't want their MPs accountable to constituents. They want them accountable to the leader.
Now, how do you answer the assertion that, it seems like you're fighting from the outside? Aren't you better to run for a Liberal and win your seat and change it from the inside?
You can't change it from the inside. In fact, you know what happens when you try and run for the Liberal Party. Frank Grasso there tried to run in the by-election in an open Democratic nomination, and they told him he couldn't run for the nomination, and they picked a preferred candidate and only put one candidate on the ballot for the nomination. He's tried to run in this election. The candidate, Joyce Morocco, who went from first to third in the last election and under 20% of the vote, isn't running this time. Yet, here we go. The Democratic Liberal Party of Ontario is refusing to let him run again. So, and the other parties are no better. They have these internal mechanisms and hoops that you have to go through to be accredited, and the Green Party is just the same as the rest of them, and they refuse accreditation for good, honest people, and they don't give any reasons. And that's not what a democracy is, guys. This is Canada. This is not Russia, where Putin appoints the candidates. This is not North Korea, where we all have to vote for the leader or be shot. This is Canada. In fact, in Ontario, Jim, we're one of the few jurisdictions in the world that allows people the right to refuse or reject their ballot. And yet Elections Ontario is being sued by Democracy Watch for refusing to inform people of that right during elections. And yet in Ontario, you still need 15% of the vote to get a campaign subsidy, and refusing your ballot counts against that. So if, one of the 2 people don't vote in Ontario, if all the people who don't vote went out and refused their ballot, they'd bankrupt all the political parties in one election.
Interesting point. Greg Vezina is my guest. He is the leader of the newly formed None of the Above Party. It'll appear on your ballot as NOTA?
No, None of the Above Party.
Okay, so you're not going to shorten it to NADA.
I want people to know when they're looking down the list of parties that the None of the Above Party exists, and I really want them to go to the website, nada.ca, or Facebook, None of the Above Party of Ontario, and look at our policies, because our policies are very, very complicated. We believe in direct democracy. We believe that the people in this province have a say on the major issues. We should choose whether we have corporate tax cuts or whether we have hospitals and schools. Not some leader that promises one thing and then gets a majority and does another.
Amen to that. Greg, on the other side of this break, I'm going to talk to you about your chances, how many candidates you're going to run. 905, we will take your call, 905-688-2582. 1-877-610-CKTB, pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network. Text into the show 61010. Greg Vezina is my guest. Coming up after this break, we'll talk to him a little bit more about the None of the Above Party. Seriously, Greg Vezina, right here on 610 CKTB.
The news of the day.
Toronto Mayor Rob Ford's lawyer says his client is 100% in rehab.
Every day.
A Canadian Navy officer has been slapped with a severe reprimand and a $5,000 fine for deserting his post in September 2012.
What happens next?
Welland NDP MP Malcolm Allen says he sees mismanagement in the Auditor General's report.
Happens here.
We would not exist without the community.
News Talk 610 CKTB.
Telemarketing tales from your local Subaru dealers.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Have you ever dreamt of a road trip in your very own RV?
Nope. Have you ever dreamt of an off-road trip in your very own Subaru?
A what trip, sir?
Yep. Go where the open road doesn't take you with a 2014 Outback.
Okay.
Say, do you lease or finance your RVs for as low as 0.5%?
What? No, that's crazy.
You know what's crazy? Buying an RV over the phone.
Subaru of Niagara, looking after what matters. On Lake Street in St. Catharines.
Take a virtual tour of local businesses in the Niagara area, such as Maury Gardens and Auto Value Hyundai. Check out Inside Niagara under Lifestyle and Entertainment at 610ckTB.com.
.610 CKTB weather. Brought to you by Harvest Barn. Plant your gardens this long weekend with vegetables, plants, and flowers from Harvest Barn Country Markets in St. Catharines and Niagara on the Lake. Today, periods of rain ending this morning, then mix of sun and cloud. High of 14. Tonight, few clouds, low +4. Saturday, more mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of showers in the morning and early afternoon, and a high of 12. Sunday, mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of showers. Right now, it's a cloudy 9 degrees and beautiful downtown St. Catharines.
Get into Falls Chev Cadillac Buick GMC today and receive a Falls GM Rewards loyalty voucher valued up to $3,000 on your new vehicle purchase. Choose from over 55 in-stock Chevy Cruzes, more than 50 pickup trucks, and for the first time, drive home a new Camaro at 0% for 84 months. Details at fallschev.com. Falls Chev Cadillac Buick GMC, celebrating 13 years at 5888 Thorold Stone Road. Experience the Falls Chev difference.
You know you're in a special place as soon as you arrive at Market Square. Massive oak doors close behind you with a gentle thump. From the elegant soaring rotunda, you see the 100-seat main dining room. Decor is elegant and nautical, but doesn't, pardon the pun, go overboard. This is the Blue Mermaid, Niagara's premier fine dining seafood and steakhouse. The Blue Mermaid Steak and Lobster celebration is on now. Call 905-684-7465 for reservations. Market Square, St. Catharines.
Betty Blotter here, letting you know Kiwanis TV Bingo on TV Kojiko is back Sundays at 8.
Play and win from home on your cozy couch with Kiwanis TV Bingo. The bingo party runs from 8 till 9 on TV Kojiko. From 7:30 till 8, call the 1-866 number to announce your shoutouts, and they'll be announced during the game. Pick up your cards at Avondale convenience stores throughout Niagara. For a complete list of locations, go to www.kiwanisstcatharines.com and click on TV Bingo. Sponsored in part by 610 CKTB.
Bingo!
As your workday winds down, he's getting fired up. The Kevin Jack Show. Catch up on all you missed and learn something new. Weekday afternoons from 5 till 7. Only on the one voice for Niagara. News Talk 610 CKTB.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. Messing with camps, jumping in before the intro.
056882582.
There might be some congestion around the Homer Bridge. Sorry, the boat went by 20 minutes ago. This was at 10:50, and the bridge is still up, backed up to Glendale. So as of 10:50, sorry I didn't get to that earlier. We'll get some of your text, and after this segment, we go all open phones for you, the caller Vox Populi. Right now, Greg Vezina's on the phone with me. Greg, you want to take some calls?
Sure, whatever. I'm good. I'm a Democrat. I'm not afraid.
Don't be afeared. Be very, very afeared.
Afeared.
It looks like Andy Petrowski's on the phone here. Andy, go.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm good, Andy. Good day.
Hey, a quick question for you, and I'm looking at your platform, and Jim would know I'm not speaking out of line. your various platforms, issues I wanted to bring to the region, including referendum. I brought 7-8 items forward. They were all trashed, knocked down by my fellow councillors.
Term limits?
I'm all for term limits, Jim knows, and I'm all for recall as well. Just a question, Greg. I mean, there's obviously something catchy about none of the above, and Jim and I talked about NADA before, which is a great acronym. Why that name, and why not something more along the lines of the Democratic Party? Because no doubt you're going to catch some interest and some votes just by way of the name of your party, and people won't even know what they're voting for.
Well, there's two issues. First, Elections Canada refuses to allow anyone to register any party with the word Democratic or democracy in it.
Really?
Because the New Democratic Party exists. In fact, there wasn't a...
What, because you may confuse it?
Pardon me?
What, because you might confuse it with the NDP?
There's a section that says it's confusing, and so they refused. The Direct Democracy Party tried to register 20 years ago, and they wouldn't let it register. That's the first answer to your question. The second answer is, the fact of the matter is that the None of the Above Party is what it says. It's the None of the Above Party. It's not a party. It's a collection of individually minded people who want to represent their constituents and want people to have a say in our democracy and don't want to be told what to do by a leader or a party that gets a majority on less than half the vote.
Okay. And Greg, what's the deadline, Jim, for getting candidates across the province before? Is there a cutoff, or are you already behind the eight ball?
Next Thursday at 11 o'clock. In fact, because we're a new party, we can't even advertise until today. We're not allowed to advertise for candidates. That's illegal. We can advertise for workers. And you have 6 days from today until 11 a.m. next Thursday to register as a candidate. And if you want to register as a candidate, just go to our website and click on Elections Ontario, print out your papers, go get 30, 50 signatures, send it to us, and you'll be on the ballot.
Hey, Jim, I'm going to tell you something. This category and the results, Greg, I tip my hat to you, especially for the platform items, referendum, recall, and
responsible reform.
I'll tell you, you're going to scare the pants off of the mainstream, and congratulations for having the courage to fight and stand up to these bureaucrats and all this nonsense.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm just someone that's been involved in politics for 35 years. I've elected a couple of close friends as premier, been very close to a prime minister, and as soon as they get a majority, guys, they get Alzheimer's. Okay. And enough is enough. There are when 50% of the people don't vote in a democracy such as Canada, which is the best country in the world, or the province of Ontario, there's something wrong. And it's not enough to say that we're better than everybody else. As Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government except all the others. It's not enough to sit in your hands and sit on the couch and whine and complain and not vote or not get involved. And it's very important that people in Ontario know up to 5% of voters in elections go out and refuse their ballots. So we'll actually get more votes in our first election than any other new party in the history of Ontario in the ridings we run in.
You got to run 107 guys. So, Dave, you're on with Greg Vezina.
Oh, yeah, okay. Look, I agree with everything this guy says, but he's going about it the wrong way. You have to go with a federal government that makes the laws when that election comes up, okay? And what you're talking about is exactly the same as they have in Switzerland, which is a referendum party. It's a referendum government there.
Well, it's slightly different, but yeah. It's slightly different. First,
how?
Federally, it's not as easy to register this party name or register a party.
Referendum.
Yeah, but in Switzerland, all laws that are passed have to be approved 6 months later by the people in a referendum. They get a booklet, and they get to check off the ones they don't like, and then there's a referendum on them.
Dave, who do you affiliate yourself with, Dave?
But they get to put them on the ballot.
Yes, that's correct. People get to vote on major policies.
They get to put what is on the ballot. The people ahead of time get to say what they vote on.
Dave, who do you affiliate yourself? Can you tell me who you vote for normally?
I don't don't even vote.
Well, see, you're the guy that should be out voting for none of the above, or at least
change the name to the Referendum Party. It's already proven in Switzerland.
They won't let us register the name.
Referendum, they won't let you register.
They won't let us register anything that the people might vote for. I had to go to court to get this name registered.
Well, that's not a... You should call it the Swiss Party, Swiss Family Robinson.
I live in Ontario, sir. I don't have an offshore bank account in Switzerland to protect.
Okay, I'm moving on. Okay, Jeff Laux, we can't not get you in with Vez. Go.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Greg. Appreciate you being on this call, on the show, talking about democracy. I know you challenged a number of people in court in the past. We have a couple of candidates here running in this election that received illegal donations. How do you feel about that?
I am totally against political contributions entirely, and in fact, what I believe we should do is we should publicly fund parties, and we should use the Broadcast Act provincially like we do federally, where all broadcasters have to give 390 minutes to split amongst the parties, and we used to have a show weekly called Provincial Affairs. I think if you have the right to a broadcast license in Canada and to $15 billion in revenue, that for 4 weeks every election you have a responsibility to provide free time to parties and candidates. That would take all the corruption out of the game entirely. And, the budget is tens of billions of dollars in this province. So to spend $50 million funding candidates and giving them free time is a drop in the bucket.
So you think we have a problem with corruption now?
Well, we certainly there's a bunch of research, including some stuff that come out of the United Nations, that shows that 99% of political contributions to political parties in Ontario and Canada are made from the wealthiest 1% in corporations. And Mike Harris changed the law in Ontario to make political contributions refundable in 2000, because he said it discriminated against women, the poor, disabled, minorities, single-parent families. And he said if the law said only rich white men got tax credits, it would be unconstitutional, so we wrote it another way. So, you have a situation where you can't get in the game, where the game is all about money, and the only people that can use taxpayers' money to buy politicians is wealthy people.
Greg, I really appreciate your time, bro. I got to get out for the news, but I appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Greg Vezina, I refer to him as the evil genius, only because the status quo does not want to hear from this guy, one of the brightest guys I know, and, well, he's gone off in another direction. This is 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin, honored to take the big chair for my friend, silent mentor. Tom McConnell's back Tuesday. No fear. We're back here Sunday at noon for the Jim Fannin Show, and then back in for Tommy on Monday. He's back Tuesday. But, as advertised, well, your favorite time of the week has got to be Vox Populi. Dave, you're on the Tom McConnell Show. Go.
Dave?
That's you, Dave.
Okay, I got my 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, eh? All right.
It.
Okay, that last guy was on there with that none of the above party. Okay, if he's got that name registered, it's okay. But that doesn't say what it is. But what it is the referendum party, exactly like they got in Switzerland. Almost, it sounds like. And that's what he should say. The next line, none of the above party, it spells the Swiss referendum party. What they do is they get 100,000 signatures to go on the ballot from what the people put on the ballot, not some stupid politician. And then they get to vote on it. And as soon as they vote on it, they vote on it to make it a law or to take it off the books as a law. Okay, now that already works. Switzerland is the best government in the country. Like, that is actual democracy, and everybody votes on it because they get exactly what they want. They don't vote for some stupid party that lies and whatever they do. I mean, you're voting on the exact issue. You eliminate that middleman that probably just goes for his corporate buddies that got him there. I think, and it should be federal, not provincial. We got time for the federal government. Provincial is subservient to federal. What good would it do to just have it in Ontario? We don't make up the laws in Ontario. So, I mean, this guy should, he's got the right idea, but that's what it has to be. And anybody who's listening to me now can just look up what the government of Switzerland is. I mean, it's a lot different than you really think it is. I mean, they're not they have strong defense. They're not involved in wars. They got guns all over the place. Everybody's in the military. I mean, it's easy. I mean, I don't know. What can I say?
Well, you said it all, Dave. I appreciate your time on the radio today. Vox Populi continues. Hugo, man, what happened? You must be with Rogers, Hugo, man. Call us back. You got dropped. Sharon, you're on the Tom McConnell Show. Go. Sharon.
Hi. Yes, thanks. Jim, if I've got this a reference, what I'm going to say, if I send it to you, people are interested, would you forward it on?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So 4 nights this week, Toronto held public consultations on weatherproofing the city and adaptation to climate change. So the city's own report shows by 2040, temperatures will be around 44 degrees C. That's almost 112 Fahrenheit. And rainfall over twice as much in one downpour and several more downpours. But every year, I live with anxiety of the upcoming summer without air conditioning. 2040 and beyond will be a horror, but it's also horror leading up to it. So even with air conditioning, the energy costs will be horrendous, and we'll be locked indoors worse than winter, and because the air will be unbreathable. So without addressing greenhouse gas emissions, which is the root cause for rising disastrous conditions and costly necessity to adapt, we face a losing proposition. The key to tackling greenhouse gases is to put a price on carbon. And the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, there's the UK Cambridge University, even Shell and BP, they've reaffirmed their call for carbon pricing. Citizens Climate Lobby, they support carbon fee and dividend, which is revenue neutral, and would see all money collected being returned to all adults, nothing in government coffers. This would give people the money needed to pay for increased costs during the transition years to renewable energy and jobs in clean energy and clean tech industry, tons more jobs than fossil fuels. I urge people, call your MP, MPP, tell them that you want job-creating carbon fee and dividend as supported by Citizens Climate Lobby. And our extra cold winter, that is a sign of global warming. It's documented, it's changing ocean currents, and it's caused colder weather.
Sharon, always appreciate your contributions to the show. You got 2 minutes. We'll let you run uninterrupted, but ultimately, the hammer is held by the great Greg Campagna. Stan, you got 2 minutes on the Tom McConnell Show. Vox Populi, do it.
Okay, right. I'll try to get it in 2 minutes. I may offend some of your listeners, which I apologize in advance for. But anyway, here goes. There is a problem in Ontario. We're in the middle of an election, and they're not paying any attention to it. The problem is the tar sands oil that is coming directly from Fort McMurray will cut right through the heart of Ontario, northern Ontario, and go to Quebec seaport for export. That's one line. That's just one. It's called Energy East pipeline, and that will threaten the water supplies. It crosses a lot of water supplies on its way. Then there is the Line 9 pipeline, which goes through Toronto. That is also a threat, and it's a threat to the water and all the other things that it will do if it ever ruptures. And another thing is the train safety. Train safety, maybe it's beyond the provincial government, but the trains are coming through Ontario, so Ontario government should have a say in the safety aspect of it. I have a solution. My solution is the complete ban of toxic tar sands oil and frack oil particularly, because they do all the damage at the point of extraction, and they pollute the waters in Alberta and North Dakota, and they're bringing all that crap right through here to be exported to faraway countries. I want people of Ontario to make that an election issue. Thank you. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Stan, well done. I appreciate your time. Darko, you're on the Tom McConnell Show. Vox Populi, do it.
Yeah, this really irritates me to no end. And anybody who always talks about a carbon tax, how does that reduce pollution? Why? Because poor people can't use it? But if you can pay for it and pollute, well, that's fine, right? So if this catastrophe, like this two previous callers was talking about, why don't we just ban it all? And, you can ride a bike, you can pedal a vehicle, you can use wind power, but that's it, right? If you're going to go up to 42 degrees, come on, man. Like 20 years ago, they were talking about how high the water levels were going to be at the sea. And the same people who are predicting it, like Al Gore, buys a beachfront house, right? This is all nonsense. I'm not saying we don't have issues with air quality, water quality, which I think is a bigger issue. Nobody talked about. Everybody's talking about temperature changes and rain and whatever, right? It just drives me nuts because how does it, to me, sure, Shell and Exxon and these companies, they like the carbon tax credit because they're going to be in on it and they're going to profit from it because that's the business, is making money. So they'll find a way how to profit from a new system. But meanwhile, the average person won't be able to sort of have less mobility because they can't afford to drive a car. They'll have more problems heating their homes and all this stuff, and it'll just be pushed on the lowest run of our society. And it just frustrates me because if they can just explain to me once how the tax will actually reduce emissions and reduce the CO2 emissions, and then we'll see about that. And then they can also explain to me how their predictions from 20 and 30 years ago, they haven't come true. And now I'm supposed to expect Armageddon by 2040.
Darko, well done. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Just before the break, and Vox Populi continues right till 12:30. Clarice.
Yes.
How are you? The runner-up for Caller of the Year. You got 2 minutes.
I'm the female Caller of the Year. Am I not?
No, it's there's no. We don't have a male and female position. We got a Caller of the Year. It's The Rock, and you were a runner-up. Sorry, Clarice.
Your interpretation. Anyway,
okay.
So I can start now?
Sure, hit it.
Okay. Well, we have a couple of comedians running in the Ontario election. Kathleen Wynne compared Tim Hudak to Donald Trump because he says, "You're fired." I think she paid Hudak a big compliment because we all know Trump created lots of jobs in the construction real estate business. So Kathleen Wynne should have fired more people, especially from the 5 agencies running the province's electricity system, and cap public sector CEO salaries. The gas plans transferred to buy her votes at $1.2 billion increased the deficit. So now it is $12.5 billion. And Andrea Horwath used her head this time to bring down the government with their huge budget. She accused Wynne of making promises she never kept. So Horwath is going to begin. She wants to save pennies, but she doesn't know that the pennies were done away with in some businesses. They don't use pennies anymore. But she'll try telling the insurance companies to cut their costs on the cars. So the only alternative we have is Tim Hudak to bring down the deficit by providing a safe province of Ontario for businesses to create jobs, and that we have a future financially strong to support programs like for health and education. Thank you, and have a good Victoria Day weekend.
You too, Clarice. Great call. Vote for Tim Horvath, Clarice says. Brian, Frank, and Walter, hang on the line right after this. Vox Populi continues right to 12:30 when we go to the noon 30. Right here, Jim Fannin filling in for Tom McConnell on the great 610 CKTB.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Just for a while, to be there in velvet.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin. Vox Populi continues with Caller of the Year. Brian, how are you?
Not too bad. It's up in Wednesday. Is it winter again?
Yeah, we just lost springtime, man. It was frost warnings. I don't know, 4 degrees tonight, man. It's gone away from us quickly. Hope this isn't the summer of rain again this year.
Me too.
You up at the cottage?
First off, climate change. What happened? Did we have the woman who obviously works for climate change sales company call in again? Tell us about all these studies? Well, you need look no farther than Europe, where it's been a very inefficient, expensive, dismal failure and hasn't made one bit of difference to the carbon going into the atmosphere. It's just, like in Ontario, put the price of everything right up through the roof. And Kathleen Wynne going to Waterton and or Walkerton and pulling that stunt with, you elect Tim Hudak and the Conservatives, you're all going to die. I get sick and tired of, actually, the Conservatives and Mike Harris getting blamed for that. It was because of a couple of drunken stumble bums, civil servants, so to speak, that kind of phoned in their job every day. That's the problem with the civil service. Nobody works really hard, and they end up taking it too darn easy, and that's what they thought they could do. Go in drunk every second day, kind of do the job, whatever, just phone it in. That's why people died in Walkerton. And other than that, there's all kinds of other things I guess I could say, but please, folks, don't fall for this nonsense and vote for the Liberals, because they're all talk and no action. It's nothing but politics for them. Whereas Tim Hudak actually has some ideas, and 100,000 civil servants, while 50,000 are gone every year anyway through attrition, retirement. Just don't rehire them. And in a couple of years, you got your 100,000 right there, and nobody got a pink slip. So don't fall for that one either.
Brian, well done. I appreciate your contribution. Hugo Mon, my vote for Caller of the Year every year. Go. Well, except for the year that I voted for myself.
Jimmy Fannin. Vote for Jimmy Fannin.
Hey, I voted for myself in a couple of provincial and federal elections, too. It feels good.
Yeah. Did it work for you, brother, man? Jimmy Fannin, my Garden City brother. What's up, man?
It's all good, Hugo. Where you been? I'm glad to hear you back on McConnell's show.
Dude, I wanted to question that. And listen, it'd be remiss of me not to call when you got the mic here today. I thought I should do that. I've been busy, brother, trying to make a living.
Not a boy.
But I did hear that promo for the program, and I'm not sure if the dude behind the glass there played the wrong little show promo, but it was the Jim Fannin Show.
Oh, wow.
And I thought it was the Tom McConnell Show with Jim Fannin as guest.
Tommy's really good about what we call it. He doesn't care. There we go.
You should be good about what we call you, too. But,
he is.
Anyway, Jeff, I wanted to talk about something important.
Me?
No, let's talk about me, brother.
Okay, good.
We got a clash of the egos, don't we, huh?
A little.
Yeah, but it's all good, isn't it?
Yeah, baby.
I actually thought you were going to talk to Brian about fruit, but anyway, I wanted to bring into question. Was it 2 weeks ago you did this program?
I filled in a couple of weeks ago. Yep.
Yeah. I was going to contact the station management because I it almost went over the top, your flirtations with that woman caller.
It wasn't a flirtation. I told her I'd come and pick her up if she'd come down for the weekend. I think it'd be great to. She says she was too busy babysitting her money, but I would do anything to meet Clarice, listener party or otherwise. I'll go to Toronto to pick her up.
Hey, listen. I just wanted to just touch briefly. I guess I should have something serious during this call, which I haven't been able to muster just yet. But I'm getting there. Are my 2 minutes up yet? Am I still on?
I'm glad you said it. I've been trying to break that out all day.
Police charges. They're killing small communities, Jim Fannin. And I'm not sure if I can lay this at the feet of our Liberal provincial government, but why are our police officers in this province being paid so much? That's my question. I don't have the answer. I expect them to make a good living, but I think their salary is not commensurate with what their duties are and the threat of being a police officer in our province. I think it's I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think we live in a relatively law-abiding society, and we seem to have a lot of police officers and a lot of sunshine listers as part of that. And it's these latest billings are going to be submitting these contract renewals coming up with small communities that threatens to have taxes go up by 25%. Something's not right. That's my point. Anyway, it's nice speaking with you today.
Hugo, man, I appreciate your time as always. My vote for Caller of the Year. Walter, how are you today?
Morning, Jim. I'd like to comment on the hypocrisy of Catherine Wynn's visit to Walkerton, forgetting while the Liberals were throwing public money at Orange Air Ambulance, 8 patients died because the government's oversight was non-existent. She blamed Walkerton on government cutbacks made by the then Tory government, but forgets that the only place where people died from tainted water was in one community where 2 drunks falsified water safety tests and log sheets and failing to properly disinfect the town's drinking water. All this while the Liberals were shoveling hundreds of millions of tax dollars down the black hole that was Orange. Walkerton and Orange disasters was the result of a lack of government oversight that created that disaster to occur. Not, I repeat, not the number of public servants on the payroll, and certainly not the plan by Tim Hudak to reduce the public service, which today exceeds the 1 million workers by $100,000 in order to help balance the provincial budget, which under the Liberals and their socialist friends is out of control. It's great talking to you. It's great having you on the show again. Have a very good weekend, pal, and God bless you.
You too, Walter. Thank you for your contribution. It is 11:58, as usual. Broadcasting live in Vox Populi goes to the end of the hour. Bottom of the hour, let's say. When we hit noon 30, Stephanie Sabrin, Larry Fedoruk, we'll hit on a bunch of topics. Topical for today, we got some text messages to hit. Ask Clarice what she thinks of the NOTA party platform. 905-688-2582. Get to more of your calls. Frank and Terry, hold on the phone. We'll get to you next right here on Vox Populi line 610 CKTV.
are you polluting Tom McConnell's show?
No. I'm on the phone with somebody else who's super.
Your resident listener, wordsmith, poet, rapper, singer, all the creativity with words. We've not heard from Hugo.
I'm a little angry at you and all the associated crap that we've had to deal with as a result of it. And
they take and takes. They give us more. Our wallets are empty and bank accounts overdrawn. I ask again, what can be done?
Here we are in the have-not province of Ontario, where the price of everything is going up and political correctness rules. Well, time's a wasting.
You're dancing, Tom. You're dancing.
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Oh, Greg, you are freaking genius. I haven't heard that before, but that starts out perfectly. Why are you polluting the airways, Mr. Jim Fannin? Oh, no. I'm on the phone with someone else. And I wish I could do the South African accent better. Sonny, we put out the bad call, as Greg calls it, the Sonny sneeze, and here you are.
Jimmy Flanagan.
Welcome to the Tom McConnell Show, brother.
Thank you, brother. I just want to know the pollution that you're presenting. Is it costing you money?
I don't know, man. It's costing me being off my real estate game, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I gotta sell some shacks, dude.
About the costing of your money and all these things. Perhaps they should leave the cozy confines of this province, and then they'll see on other parts of the universe that the planet is heating up to such an extent.
Oh, Sonny, you're not going to resort to the rest of the callers that are asking you to leave the country.
No, I was told that question last week. Perhaps she should go back to Quebec, and then she'll find out what is happening in Quebec. When she calls the station, she's fortunate to call the station, because the next station that she can call is the guy on your after 12 o'clock show on CKTV. Because she won't last to call the other shows, your sister station or any other talk show. They'll just run her off the air. That's basically what will happen to her. But let me just address the situation. Those who have seemed to have a memory of forgetfulness. That is what Tim Horvath wants you to forget. That he was sitting around the table when the last conservative government in this province was. And they cut jobs. They reduced nurses. They reduced every single public servant that you could find that they wanted to reduce. And what was the result of that? And also, let me just add to this that these folks wish to talk about when Tim Horvath was sitting around the table. A guy by the name of Dudley George, he lost his life. Why? Because they tried to get people who were protesting for their rights of a property that belonged to the native people of this country. The first people, may I emphasize that, the people that were here before any other immigrant. And all those that came after them are immigrants. So let me just address those people. If you wish to vote and continue to vote for people that hoodwink you, and I do not consider myself to vote for any other or any color, whether it is blue, orange, or red. I'd rather vote for the Green Party or not vote. But I can assure you, I would cast a ballot with my head. That is what I would do. Because most of these folks that vote for the Conservatives, just ask yourself the question, what has the Conservative Party or the Liberals, let me emphasize this, done for you? But let me leave you with this message, brother Jimmy, that we will have a minority government in this province after June the 12th. And the seats in Mississauga will stay Liberal. Let me assure you that, because Timmy Horvath and Andrea Horvath all said the same thing in their platform the last time we went to vote. that they will cancel those gas plants in Mississauga and Oakville, because that is what the people of Oakville and Mississauga wanted, sir. So you have an enjoyable long weekend.
Sonny, what's the color of the minority government?
The color of the minority government is 50-50 at the moment.
Blue or red?
Blue or red.
Oh, come on. You're not going to give orange a chance?
No, I think orange shot themselves in the foot.
Well done, Sonny. Terry, I appreciate your patience. You got 2 minutes on the Tom McConnell Show.
Yeah, that's Sonny, man. That's just unreal. For anybody that wants to even think about voting for the Liberals, like you've got to have a hole in your head for what they've done to us. Unreal. Like looking at a 42% hydro uppage, that's just ridiculous. My hydro bill right now is going through the roof, and they want to raise it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, like, I'm taking it to the government too, because I'm not buying beer anymore. I'm friggin' making my own from this place, and for like 6 cases, I can get that for $110. That now usually I buy myself a 12-pack, and that's close to $20. That is just I'm just throwing my friggin' money away. And like, this is supposed to be the first day of summer this weekend. That's a joke. I want to wish everybody a happy long weekend and no drinking and driving. Hey guys, later. I'm out.
Good job, Terry. Thanks for reminding us to stay off the roads when we're boozing. Frank and Thorold, how are you today?
Not too bad. To be honest with you, though, like, we had a lot of occurrences with Mike Harris' government, and Tim Hudak was his protege then, and he did everything what Mikey told him to do, and that, though, like, he was like daddy. And, that's what really bothered me. And, like, if people want more of Harris era stuff, though, like draconian stuff, that cutting jobs and, you can cut a great job like that's making $20 an hour, and then give 2 minimum wage jobs and that, though, and no future, no pensions, no nothing in that, though. Like, and where's the future in that, though? Like, and he says he likes to see, people working in the future in that. What kind of people are going to be working in the future? Rich people, maybe? You just got to think of that, too. And Walkerton and that, though, like, that was another thing, too. That was an issue of safety. And what they do is, the Conservatives always do, is cut back. And that's a civil servant job, is like investigating safety issues with water and that. And that's what the Conservative government did. They cut back the inspections and that with these people. They let these people run it, though. They says, hey, they can do a good job. They didn't do a good job. People died. And that was because cutting back. Take a look at the highway, the transport. Like, you see how many trucks on the road and how many stations now that stop the trucks now. Very few, because they cut back on that, too. The 407, we don't own that. They sold that to foreign country. And we're proud of that, too. So the Conservatives, you vote for Tim Hudak, you're voting for Mike Harris, in which, like, he bankrupted us morally and financially. Goodbye.
Well done, Frank and Thorold. I appreciate your contribution. We have some we got lots of text to get to, but Vox Populi continues after this break right here on 610 CKTB.
Why are you polluting Tom McConnell's show?
This is the Jim Fannin Show on Niagara's News Talk 610. Call now, 905-688-2582, 1-877-610-2582, or text us at 61010.
Welcome back to Vox Populi. I'm Jim Fannin, filling in for Tommy for today and Monday. Check us out on Sunday at noon. We're doing a totally different thing, and the CAC himself will be in to perform live for us. That will be interesting. Check this guy out. Peter in Ajax, how are you today?
I'm all right. I don't know if people remember this, but this 3-cent rise in the gas price didn't take place when Flaherty was finance minister, because he read the Riot Act to the oil companies. When the oil price went up a penny, they were on top of us like a duck on a June bug. We couldn't even get there in time to fill it. That's how fast they raised their prices. And when the price went down, we languished, okay? We just withered on the vine waiting for these rug salesmen to lower the price. And so it took them forever when the price went down, and when the price went up, they were all over us. And Flaherty got them all together in the same place in Ottawa and told them that this is going to stop today. And it did. And now that he's gone, God bless him, we're going to get bent over a desk every holiday weekend by these rug salesmen passing themselves off as oil company executives.
Peter, well done. Appreciate all your contributions to Vox Populi. 688-2582 is the number. You can text it in. We'll read some of your texts as well. Pound 610 on the Bell Mobility Network. 1-877-610-CKTB. Bill in Port Colborne, you're up.
Hey, Jimmy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Just my 2 cents worth about the upcoming election. I've always voted. This time I'm in a real quandary. Horvath, I can't vote for the NDP because basically she's the one who is responsible for this election. She propped up the Liberal government all along, and then when there's a tailor-made budget to suit the NDP, she says no. So as far as I'm concerned, she's the one who's called the election. What can you say about the Liberals that haven't been already said before? Although as far as the three leaders go, I think she's the sharpest of the bunch. And Hudak, the last election, the Conservatives should have won easily. I had a sign on my lawn. If he'd have kept his mouth shut, he probably would have won the election last time. So, the last 4 years of all the Liberal crap that we put up with is basically Hudak's fault because he should have won the last election. So I'm kind of stuck this time, but anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth, Jimmy.
And I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you very much. Andy Petrosky, how the heck are you now?
Hey, Jim, that was great having Greg on. I wonder, and you know him better than I do, would Greg have said to Jeff Laux' totally loaded question about illegal contribution, Greg made it clear he's against all corporate donations. Would Greg recognize, Jim, that these quasi-corporations, unions hiding behind their names is the same category? You know that? Because I'm sure he just absolutely rejects all of these outright large donations, right?
And you know what? A great point, and I can't answer for Greg, but I will tell you at the municipal and regional levels in Toronto, you can get a tax rebate from donating to a municipal councillor. You can't do that here. So what happens? Right. Big business are the only ones, or small business, business people are the only ones that get a benefit, can write this stuff off, and there's no reason that we can't switch it. If Toronto can do it, we can do it. And I'd love to see, Secord or Birch or somebody pick up on this by saying, what? This is how we bring back a little bit of democracy to the local level.
And it's too bad. It's not surprising, but it's disappointing always when you hear Jeff go on about those so-called illegal, I think he's calling about those double contributions some candidates took, and they always forget there's one candidate who received those, Jim, over multiple terms, the most frequently, and the largest amount, and that happens to be our current mayor. So I wish Jeff would be a little bit more transparent. But on this final note, Jim, I wish one of the three provincial parties would cap a gas price at $1.10, $1.20 a liter and say, after that, we're going to stop taxing tax. And everything that we tax, we either return back to municipalities or we just stop taxing tax. As these prices go up, Jim, the governments are getting richer and richer, and every penny counts. These guys hold on to it, misspend it. I'm voting for the party that says I will cap or actually eliminate taxing tax because it's ridiculous. Have a great weekend, Jim.
You too, Andy. I appreciate your time and your contributions. Vez?
Yeah, I just heard, I've been listening, of course, Jim, and I just heard Andy. I thought I'd answer his question. There is so much. I'd probably say that Well, over 70% of contributions to parties in Ontario are corporate anyway, but I would say that 90% of those, if you really looked at them, are generally interrelated because, there's limits.
Got it.
And so...
so you're saying they're breaking it up from one source and putting them in different people's names or something like that?
I mean, look, Del Mastro's cousin or brother there, gave all the employees checks and then had the employees endorse them over to the party. So, I mean, do I specifically know of malfeasance? Well, if I did, I'd have somebody in court. But does it exist? No question, because money talks, right? And our politicians, it's because of corporate contributions that we have shenanigans. It really is. If companies couldn't contribute, they'd still contribute, as I said. And Mike Harris did the same thing, as you will recall, in Toronto. Rob Ford went through a campaign audit, and they found that Mike Harris made $2,500 illegal contributions. He gave $25,000 to Rob Ford. And so what? So not only is it wrong, and it's actually in the law, but when someone gets, it gets proven, as it did in this campaign audit that happened, then the Toronto Election Commission voted not to prosecute. So, Jim, anyway.
It's a long day, Vez. I appreciate your contribution to the show. Man, moved fast today. Vox Populi was loaded. We had some good interviews as well. My thanks to Rick Dykstra, number one, for coming in and spending an hour with us and having just a really great conversation. He does a great job on with Tommy as well. Well spoken, as one of the texters said. A little bit of a different conversation today, and not coming from a conservative supporter in me, but really appreciate him coming in, just being candid, talking about our current situation here in Niagara, what he thinks of the Siscoe Bradley head-to-head competition that we're going to have here. Obviously, Denny Stevens is running, and the Green Party's looking for a candidate. Did I mention that? Be nice to have a quality candidate. Jennifer Meridian, I think if it came down to it, could be coerced. She was a great candidate last time, maybe the last two times, both provincially and federally. She's very busy, prefers not to do it, and I don't want to do it. Somebody come forward. Up next, the noon 30. Stephanie Saverin, Larry Fedoruk will preview his show coming up, and then we'll get you out of here on a high note for the long weekend. Right here on 610 CKTB. This is the noon 30. Stephanie Saverin, Larry Fedoruk, welcome aboard. Hey, and remember to turn your mics up. What do you know?
Thank you for
talking all politics today. Rick Dykstra came in and he spent an hour with us, so generous with his time with Tommy and coming in. And I said to Rick, am I wrong? Conservatives come to my door. Actually, Sal comes to my door, former Liberal supporter for Siscoe's crew, gives me the propaganda, the flyer, or whatever you want to call it. And I said, am I wrong? I'm going to vote Green. But am I wrong to feel like we just need a change after 37 years in politics with Jim Bradley being in government? Like, I just need a fresh face, even though I don't support the Conservatives. Rick's been a good leader for St. Catharines. I'm not a Conservative supporter, but I think he's been a good politician for us. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong? Am I bailing out on all my backgrounds by saying, maybe it's time for a change, just for the sake of having a change?
That's what I'm asking you. You want change for change's sake? I don't know about that. I mean, is that Is that always the right way to go? I understand that, just change for change's sake, but is that the right way to go? I think you got to look at Jim. I found myself
questioning the same thing at the door.
You got to look at Jim, and you got to look at the candidates and weigh that, I guess. Just to say, I don't know, it's time for change. I don't know.
I think it's interesting. I don't think we'll ever see another Green person say they want a Conservative. And, I think that is, change for the sake of change if you're looking at it from that point of view. But I don't know. I'm very interested to see how the local campaigns start going, because it's been a little bit scattered to begin with, the different candidates deciding who's going to run where for what. And so we're just at this point, we just now have a full slate after Niagara West Glanbrook now has their NDP candidate in place. And then in Niagara Falls, we have our Liberal finally, so we're just starting to see kind of the local campaigns come together.
Is it like that in every riding, by the way, where it's about the leadership for the first couple of weeks and then it's about the local candidates? Like, are the local candidates in all ridings kind of purposely, hanging back a little bit?
Maybe. I think so. I think this one, it's odd because everyone keeps saying this election took them by surprise, but we've been talking about the possibility of a spring election since last spring. And that's where I'm just like, everybody says, this took us by surprise. And it's really because
and especially a guy like Jim Bradley, you would think he would have his nomination done and get the signs up. It took him 10 days. I see Siscoe signs everywhere, and Bradley's just getting it in the ground now.
I just wonder if that's policy from up top, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, could very well be.
It's like, please don't distract from what the leadership has to set up, kind of the party policy, and here's our direction. We're going to focus on jobs or the health or the economy, and we're going to do that, and then we'll let you deal either with local issues or with the issues as we kind of deem them to be.
And that's another question I have as well. Who determines the issues? In my mind, it's the politicians. So if Hudak says, come out and says it's jobs and we've got a plan for that, and it doesn't gain traction, does he just move on to the next subject? I mean, isn't that the job of the politicians, of the leaders, mostly?
The people behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Precisely,
to select the issues.
To kind of go,
and tell them why they're important to us.
Because it's not about the issues for the politicians, it's about getting elected.
And staying elected.
So then that comes back to what are the people going to buy into, what's going to resonate with them, and then that will make that the issue, or attempt to.
Well, I think we've seen a lot of trial balloons too over the past week or so of what's sticking, what's not, what's having an emotional impact, what's not, to the point where we're talking about Pokeroo yesterday and TVO funding. So I think we're at the point where we're trying to figure out what is going to rally voters and rally people this time.
Because what is the magic? Right now, I mean, there isn't one. I mean, not to say that there aren't big, important issues to us. Of course there are. And I just named a couple of them: health, economy, jobs. All these things are really important to the future of not only us as individuals, but us as a province. I get all that, but nothing's really saying, all right, this is the issue that anybody's going to win or lose on. The only thing I've heard is kind of time for a change from, or a scandal-plagued government. That's kind of the only thing, and that's not necessarily working for Hudak or Horwath that well right now either, surprisingly.
No, and I think it's interesting because we haven't really heard healthcare much. I'm wondering if that's waiting later on, closer to the vote, later on in the campaign, where it's going to have more of an impact. That's where maybe we'll see it. But there's really been not much talk about healthcare yet at all.
Do you think the Green Party from the outside can make a difference here? I see Steve Paikin on TVO, who I get a lot of time for the agenda. What a great show. I don't watch it as much as I should, but his last article on the internet saying this could be a game changer. These guys are talking about, last time they talked about they're at 8 to 10% in the polls. Do you think that from the outside, an issue that the Green Party's championing as one of their main planks in their platform, i.e. saving $1.6 billion every year by merging school boards, controversial? Do you think maybe they can gain some traction and actually make change with the leading parties?
Do I? No. Short answer.
Well, we've seen people fall on the education platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know, and you may know better, Jim. How do you gain traction? How you gain traction as a fourth party, as yet a fourth alternative? Mm-hmm. As viable as it may be, I don't know how that happens. Right. How do you do it as the third party, for God's sakes? Mm-hmm. It's a big uphill battle for Andrea Horwath, and that's one of the best leaders they've had in a long time, in my opinion. And they still, they still have a long way to go. My God, they're looking up constantly.
Mm-hmm. And because the whole idea of merging the two school boards is a really interesting idea, and I think a lot of people are, interested in that campaign promise from the Greens. It's just, you're not going to see any of the other three parties, which I think is what the Greens are hoping would
pick up on it,
because we saw with John Tory. That didn't go well.
No, that was a very different. He was talking about funding all types of religions,
all types of
which
school.
I mean,
but
people
still,
saw right
you still
through
look
that.
at when you're looking at funding different schools, though, it still is the same, funding issue. So I think people are weary of talking about that issue in general, and I think that's where we're seeing a lot of reluctance from the other parties to even look at that, touch that, think about that, really. But it is an interesting policy.
So do you think we owe it to the politicians, our voter apathy, for not picking politics or political subjects or platform planks that actually gain traction or matter to us? Is that why we're not voting? Because the politicians aren't picking great planks to talk to us about?
I think it's a lack of leadership. I think it's a lack of anybody who really, captivating leadership. The closest that we thought might happen, and I'm talking across all platforms, was a Justin Trudeau. Since, I think he's tripped a few times, and it's yet to be seen what kind of leader he actually is. But that's the kind of thing. People were at least excited about that for a moment. The Liberals had no choice but to go there eventually, so I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner. So who's that person that absolutely just captivates us, that says this is the leader? I mean,
Pierre Trudeau's, or
like
even
Pierre
that way
Trudeau,
Mulroney, for the polarizing figure that he was, he certainly got people to the polls.
Like Modi in India, just overwhelming landslide, just for some reason captured the people's attention, and I don't know who that is. And if you can't engage people and get them to listen in the first place, they can talk about anything. They can
that's true.
Give you any policy, any number of free everything, more for everyone, and you don't hear it because you're not really interested in listening in the first place.
Tom McConnell had an interesting point, too, a couple weeks back about we have it pretty good. I know.
That did not happen.
I want to make fun of him because he's not here.
Yes. But he had we have it pretty good. It's not like we're in a situation where we have human rights issues or any glaring huge issues. So there becomes that apathy because, it's everything's really essentially okay in Canada right now, and it's pretty good.
On the other side, I'm going to talk about this. Greg was on the show today. He's registered the none of the above party. I wanted to know if it's if he runs a candidate in every riding, can you imagine? He's just getting 5% right off the bat from people think that they're actually checking none of the above. No, you're voting for a party, even though he says it's not a party. You can do whatever you want. So your thoughts on the none of the above party when we come back after this on 610 CKTB.
The news of the day.
One of the organizers behind the grassroots effort to bring GO service to Niagara says they won't let the upcoming by-election kill the momentum.
Every day.
Canadian author Farley Mowat has died at the age of 92.
Every day.
BC leader Tim Hudak giving a peek at his million jobs plan. Hudak says he can create 200,000 new jobs over 4 years by eliminating restrictions on these skilled trades.
On News Talk 610 CKTB and 610CKTB.com.
Hello there. At the Volkswagen Lab, we've discovered that the Jetta costs as little as $6 a day. So if you bring your lunch to work, you can afford a Jetta.
So, may I take your order?
No, I made my lunch.
Own the 2014 Volkswagen Jetta from only $84 bi-weekly with an extra $1,000 Autobahn cash discount until June 2nd. Visit your Volkswagen dealer or VW.ca for details. $1,764 down, 2.9% APR for 84 months.
610 CKTB is proud to sponsor the Niagara Rankin Cancer Run. Gather your family, co-workers, and friends on Saturday, May 24th at the Grantham Lions Club and join us as 610 CKTB takes stride to help raise funds for local cancer patients. Choose the 1K or 5K walk or the 5K run walk and help make a difference right here in our community. The Niagara Rankin Cancer Run is proudly sponsored by 610 CKTB. For more information, log on to 610CKTB.com.
Getting from point A to point B is easy with CKTB. CKTB. Traffic reports all day, only on Niagara's News Talk 610 CKTB.
.610 CKTB weather brought to you by Harvest Barn. Plant your gardens for the long weekend with vegetables, plants, and flowers from Harvest Barn. Country markets in St. Catharines and Niagara-on-the-Lake. Periods of rain ending this morning, and then a mix of sun and cloud. High of 14. Tonight, a few clouds and low plus 4. Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, 30% chance of showers late in the morning and early afternoon. We'll have a high of 12, and then Sunday, more of the same, mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of showers. Right now it's cloudy and 9 degrees in beautiful downtown St. Catharines.
A welding school not like the others. That's Niagara Welding Academy. So register today at the region's most established private career college for the welding trade. Niagara Welding Academy offers smaller classes starting every Monday with flexible hours and payment options to suit your situation. Don't wait until September to get started. Call 685-8984 or drop by the school on Cushman Road in St. Catharines. Niagara Welding Academy, a cool school for a hot trade.
And now, a CWB-accredited test center.
Dealer invoice pricing has been extended at Auto Value Hyundai. Plus, get 0% financing on select models like the Hyundai Accent, Elantra, Santa Fe Sport, and the Tucson. Got a trade? Auto Value always pays top dollar. Dealer invoice pricing is still on at Auto Value Hyundai, Montrose and Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. AutoValueHyundai.ca. They treat you like family.
Dealer is reimbursed the holdback amount included in invoice price by the manufacturer for each vehicle sold.
So, why do you protect your home with Alarm Force?
I shopped around, and I got the best price by far.
The app on my phone is great. I keep an eye on my house anytime I want.
I love the song in the commercials.
We go away, we don't worry about a thing.
Alarm Force!
I save a lot on my home insurance.
Don't miss out. Call Alarm Force today and get our premium Cellwave technology installed at no charge. Exclusive for the month of May.
Call 1-800-267-2001. Alarm Force!
610 CKTB is proud to sponsor the Niagara Rankin Cancer Run. Gather your family, co-workers, and friends on Saturday, May 24th at the Grantham Lions Club and join us as 610 CKTB takes stride to help raise funds for local cancer patients. Choose the 1K or 5K walk or the 5K run walk and help make a difference right here in our community. The Niagara Rankin Cancer Run is proudly sponsored by 610 CKTB. For more information, log on to 610CKTB.com.
Here in Niagara, we like things fresh. Fresh OJ, fresh coffee, and a fresh attitude. Why should your morning show be any different? The Tim Dennis Morning Show is prepared fresh every morning. Whether you're up with a rooster or up like a zombie, you'll know what's new right now. For a fresh start to your day, join Tim Dennis weekday mornings from 5:30 till 9. Only on the one voice for Niagara, News Talk 610 CKTB.
Welcome back. I am Jim Fannin, joined by Larry Fedoruk and Stephanie Savran from the news department. Larry's coming on up next. We'll touch on his show. Talking earlier about the none of the above party. Did you hear the conversation at all today, Larry?
I didn't catch that part. No.
Okay. So Greg Vezina goes to the province elections Ontario and says, I want to call the party none of the above party. They said no, can be too easily confused. They refused to reserve the name for him. And then he brings action before the court, and just before he brings it to the court, they settle with him and say, okay, you can have it.
Really?
So now he's on the ballot. I don't imagine he's going to run 107 candidates, but I don't know if he's going to get some traction out of it. Maybe the media will cover it, maybe they won't, but I mean, if he did run 107 candidates across the province, anywhere in the ballot, people could confuse it as, well, I'm voting for none of these candidates.
Right.
Do you think we should have a box that says, well, you can decline your ballot in Ontario. Most people don't know that, which is different than spoiling your ballot. You spoil your ballot, spoil a ballot. But if you say they give you the vote and I refuse to vote, I refuse to cast a ballot for any of these turkeys.
Right. So my only problem with that is that most of the people who would tend to vote none of the above stay home.
That's true.
So, I mean, you know, at this point, I'm the what's the turnout? I don't even know. Is it 60%? Is it 68%?
No, it's below 60.
It's in the 30, 40s.
Yeah, well, for the by-elections,
for the by-election, it was 37%.
I know, but that was particularly low. I thought the feds were up around 60 federal elections. I thought provincial elections were similar. I could be mistaken on that.
I think because we talked to a voting expert from Brock a couple weeks ago, and she was saying that was about on par with what we're seeing.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just Saturday
we're under
I thought
50
then.
for sure. Yeah, it is
Saturday I thought then. But I mean, I think if I'm going to be at least one of those, 40%, that I'm going to go specifically there and vote because I want to vote Liberal or Conservative or NDP or Green or whatever. And if I want to vote none of the above, I just not going. So that's the problem I see with that party. Yeah.
Think you gain any traction?
Well, I think most people who actually make it out to the ballot box and who are going to take the effort to find out where they're voting and go are going to be, I would hope, at least informed enough to know that voting none of the above is an actual party and not an option on the ballot. We talk about the voter apathy and, people aren't going out, but I think the people who actually get out are somewhat informed.
Lest they confuse it maybe with like a Catholic party, where that's the name of the convent where Sister Benedict belongs. It's none of the above. Okay.
What do you think of the tenets? Reform, electoral reform, recall, and referendum. That's basically what the party's founded on. So are those things that you think are important for politics today?
Well, electoral reform? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But
I think so too. But some people say no, this is the best we've got, and that's just what we got. The rules are the rules.
Well, and that's the problem with the rules is that when you get in under a system as the three parties have so far in the province, why would you want to change the system that brought you to power? Mm-hmm. Why would you want to take the chance that a different system would in fact take you out of power or lessen your power in any way? And that's the problem with electoral reform. It's never going to happen because of that. I shouldn't say never, but very difficult. When a party campaigns on it, I'm like, yeah, I'm all for you, but good luck.
Andrea Horvath is the least responsive to the poor. She said they're shedding her image as the champion for the poor and the less fortunate, and she's campaigning for the middle-of-the-road, middle-class vote we get these things that go around to the candidates all the time. 1 million poor people in Ontario, and she was the least responsive to it. Said she's preoccupied with winning the middle class. Reported by the Star.
Yeah, that she's no longer the champion of the poor. You know why that is, by the way? Because the middle class is now the poor. That's where it is. We middle class, we're struggling more than ever, right? To make ends meet. And so maybe, and please, I'm not making fun of the people absolutely without or anything, but it's, I guess you go where the votes are again.
Mm.
Yeah, we've seen a number of studies too talking about the middle class and how it's not really so much a middle class anymore, such as an upper and lower class. And you're not seeing so much of that middle of the road thing. So that's interesting. We always see these interesting things, I think, during the election campaign at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd read just before that a couple of weeks ago that the middle class had disappeared in Canada. There wasn't any middle class anymore at all. There's basically have and have-nots and.
Great. Thanks for coming in, Larry. What are you got coming up today?
99%.
Bang up show for Friday on a long weekend?
Bang up, absolutely. We're actually going to have Bridget Keegan back because we have an official response sent to us from Health Canada. They're not coming on the show, Health Canada, about the inspection of BioLease, but they did send a very lengthy official response, which seems to point to a solution at BioLease. But Bridget says she's still she's approaching this on two different levels. So this is kind of new, and she's going to explain that to us at 2:15. And then at the beginning of the show today, something not to do at the LCBO that I bet a lot of parents have done, that it was apparently absolutely against the rules and the law. So we'll start with that at 1.
That's a total tease right there.
Yeah.
Larry Fedoruk Show coming up next right after the news. My thanks to all the guests today. Dykstra, Clark Bitter, Vezina. Your submissions on Vox Populi. Greg Campagna, well done, man. Making us sound good. I am Jim Fanawer, Sunday at noon. And then Monday for Tommy. He's back on Tuesday right here on 610 CKTV.